Hello. Welcome to my live experiment. I don't think I've ever done one of these where I'm talking to myself, so this is genuinely going to be weird. And we're testing things. I have never streamed directly live in YouTube. I usually use StreamYard, which has doubled in price since last I used StreamYard, and I'm just curious about this. I'm probably going to have to give in. This is a genuine chatty basic live stream. I'm just going to be looking at the chat. I have some things that I can readily just jabber on about, but it'll be like kind of casual and interactive and broad. Truly a test. Testing my microphone setup. I've got my webcam here. I'm using my podcasting mic. I don't know if it's the quality is good enough, if the positioning is good. You can tell me things. We're trying things. I do have topics, like I do want to try to do this semi-regularly, but never ever hold me to committing to anything regular again. I'm a mess. But I think this could be like the level of casualness that I need. I just don't think I can go back to like making videos the way that I did. So this is a free-for-all. Welcome if you're joining. I'm doing a state of the thing. If there's issues with the audio, let me know. I can switch from my like fancy microphone, which is kind of to the side, because like when it's close to me, I can't type. It's like compromises. I could switch to the webcam mic, which is technically jabbering. So this is casual. Hi, welcome. I am curious, like if you're in the chat, I will at some point probably maybe talk about like 911 and Traitors. I put it in the title because these things I am obsessed with right now. I'm in like it's actually hard to jump between the two of them, and I've got the pit on hold, like 3 shows torturing me simultaneously. I'm gonna wait until a couple more pit episodes air so that I can like, moderately binge. We're in a new golden era for television. So I'll probably talk about TV, but I am curious, like if you're here, do you watch 911? Does anyone care? Is anyone else watching the Traitors, and are you caught up? I don't need to like go into full spoiler discussion if people like don't want me to. I really, really like, I love the Traitors. Like I have been loving the Traitors. Yeah, I have so many thoughts. But we can talk about anything. And obviously, writing, we can talk about writing. It's kind of a natural extension of things. But heck, like makeup, skincare, I don't know. I could talk about anything. But this is like a free for all. And as I said, when there were probably like 3 people watching, I've never done this by myself. So this is going to be really, really interesting. I've always done live streams with other people because I was always anxious to just talk to myself and have dead air, and whether I could fill time and space or whether I could be trusted to ramble solo. I mean, because I can ramble solo, but does anyone need that? Is it a good idea? We're gonna see how this goes. Me and extemporaneous speaking is a gamble. Like you think my edited videos are like long and rambly. Wait until you see me live. It's a mess. All right, I'm gonna look at the chat. Everything sounds great. I watch the Traitors. Oh yeah, so I'm used to StreamYard. Can I highlight comments on YouTube? I'm gonna just like try it. Okay, StreamYard is definitely better for highlighting comments and whatnot. Okay. I don't think I can do that in YouTube Live. See, I'm learning, people who are new. I used to stream in StreamYard, which has all of these tools. I've never streamed direct in YouTube, and I thought I would try it. And yeah, okay, this is all data. I probably am just gonna have to suck up and spend a stupid amount of money on StreamYard Pro if I'm gonna do this, which is just depressing. It used to be like $250 a year, which is already like it's not something, it's something. Now it's like almost $500 apparently. So capitalism, toxic capitalism. Thanks. I hate it. Oh, I've got like a loose curl hair. That's like so fix that. I can talk about curly hair. I'm like obsessed with the Curly Girl routine and like how to make this happen. I still can't believe it's happening. It's like my lifelong dream to have curly hair. It's wavy technically, but just over the last couple years, I've gone from like a 1A curl pattern to I think you could get away with saying I'm a 1B or a 1C, and this is like game changing for me. I know about curl patterns too now. It's a whole thing. I can talk about so many different things. So I can't highlight your comments, which is a bummer. I want to. We'll go back to StreamYard so that I can do that because that's part of the interactive part. Spider-Man is currently rewatching 911. Good choice. Haven't seen Traitors yet. Well, if anyone in the chat watches 911, how many times have you watched 911? I've watched the entire show start to finish twice, like, except we can talk about season 6. I skipped season 6 and my rewatch because I really hate it. I hate season 6 of the 911 so much. I have so many feelings. And then I've watched, like, I've done a full watch through twice, and then I've rewatched like certain episodes like 4 or 5 times, certain arcs. It has like this amazing rewatchability at 911. So I know you're like, why isn't she talking about writing? Truly chatty free-for-all live stream. So this is my pitch for 911 for those of you who are here who are like, what? This is why I think you should watch 911. And I will tell you a little bit about my journey with 911, and maybe I can win over some of you. So I, like many of you, if you haven't watched it, thought this is like, 911 is that dumb show that I've occasionally seen advertised. In hindsight, I definitely saw them advertising the cruise ship arc. Like, I saw billboards after the move to ABC. Now I understand all the inside baseball. But prior to that, my head just went, it's that weird cop show with Angela Bassett. That's all. And it's on Fox. And I ignored it. I watch a lot of television, and I just haven't paid attention to network in a really long time. I think we're getting into like a semi-renaissance of network TV, like kind of in part due to 911. I have so many thinky thoughts. I think also weirdly CBS is making some good choices lately. I love Matlock. NBC as well to a degree. Well, they're putting the Traitors on network now, which is brilliant. I mostly stream. I watch Peacock. And like, yeah, network making some interesting choices, actually getting people back to watching live network TV. Like I like 911 so much I bought an antenna so that I could watch live TV again. Yeah, like it's a miracle. I'm looking at your comments too. Like, you're gonna get this like firsthand view of stream of consciousness, rambly Alexa Donne. Like you think, oh, she's really bad at editing. Like, she jumps around in her videos. Like, me live is a mess. Positive, kind of. I am chaotic. And that's the thing with the chat. It's like distraction, and then no one wants to like listen to dead air. Aw, Jillybean41, you've written 2 first drafts of novels in the past 2 years because of my videos. That's amazing, by the way. That like finishing anything and 2 first drafts, hopefully you're like doing the fun editing part. Editing is my favorite part, but like I'm genuinely glad that like my archive helps people. That's what I did it for. It's all the stuff that I needed to hear or did hear from different sources that helped me do the thing, and I dumped it all in one place for people. Spider-Manners, you've watched 911 3 or 4 times. You skipped season 1 on rewatch. That is salty. Like, I can guess why. I'm guessing you don't like Abby, and some of the other things about season 1. I will always advocate for season 1 because I think there are things that season 1 does really, really well of 911. Even if season 2 is a soft reboot of the show that made the show 8 million times better, we're back to me watching 911 and my pitch to all of you for 911. So how I got sold on 911 is Jane Mulcahy posted a video last October about 911. And I forget why I was following her channel, but she'd posted some previous video and I subscribed to her, and it popped up on my dash. And I was like, I saw Angela Bassett and a rainbow flag. And I forget what the title of it was, but I was like, okay, I'll click into this Jane Mulcahy video. And the first 10 minutes of the video is just her pitching 911 and explaining why she likes 911. And she hit these points of, it is like Final Destination, cheesy disaster movies, and a procedural having a baby. And then in her thesis, she mentioned, because it was part of the point of the video, that it's also like very queer. And I was like, huh. And I didn't really actively know it was a Ryan Murphy production. I kind of knew, and I was like, okay, so it's camp. And things that you guys don't know about me, because they have just literally never come up on my channel. Why would they come up on my channel? Because back in the day when I tried to make non-writing content, the Yugo About algorithm punished me. So y'all stopped getting other things that interest me. I love disaster movies, specifically cheesy disaster movies. I own a ton of them on Blu-ray. I'm a physical media girly. I'm very old school. I took a class in college. This has come up in a video or two on natural disasters, where our labs was watching disaster movies and analyzing them. I love disaster movies before that, but I love cheesy, bad disaster movies. I've watched almost all of them. I will rewatch them. I adore them. So I was like, okay. So what I love about 911 is I get 90% of the Hollywood homage references, which helps. I love the Final Destination franchise. Though funnily, I'm someone who hates gore and I'm really squeamish and I will close my eyes during a lot of the deaths, which you're like, loved The Substance, by the way, closed my eyes for 60% of it. No regrets. Great movie. Amazing storytelling. I just had to close my eyes a lot because I don't like body horror. But I watch body horror. I'm interesting. Except can't do the Saw movies. I have limits. I will watch all the YouTube summaries of the Saw movies. I know everything about the Saw movies because I just watch the summaries. But Final Destination, love. My favorite Final Destination movie is Final Destination 3. Humbly, I believe that is the best Final Destination movie, though there's fondness for the other ones. And of course, the director of that works on 911 sometimes, and his daughter also works on 911. I think it all comes together. So disaster movies, Final Destination, and camp. These are the things I love. So I paused her video because she started talking about spoilers. She started her character overview, and I was like, she spoiled something about Angela Bassett's character, Athena. And it wasn't like crazy, but I was like, okay, I'm going to pause this because I think I might want to watch this. And I also realized in her intro, I had seen TikTok clips of what turned out to be Lone Star, not 911 OG. But I was like, I'm just going to watch the pilot and see what I think. Friends, I watched 8 seasons of this show in 3 weeks, and I honestly would have watched it faster, except I had a business trip in there where I had to fly across the country, and I was out of pocket for a few days, and I still watched episodes of 911 in my hotel. I would have finished 8 seasons in 2 weeks otherwise. Like, it became my life. I mean, not just for the 3 weeks, it's become my life for like a year and a half, but it got me. It got me so bad. I love it. And if any of that sounds up your alley, watch it. Oh, so I mentioned I had thought it was just like an Angela Bassett cop show. It is not. It is also an Angela Bassett cop show. It is not just a cop show. I will say that the access of it with that character, she saves it. But interestingly, the spinoffs have done, and the show itself, like, it's really a firefighter show. It's a firefighter 911, like, dispatcher show more than it is like a cop procedural show. It's not about like crimes. It's about medical emergencies more than anything, like, just to contextualize it. So it's different from like The Rookie, which I also watch. The Rookie is kind of a mixed bag. Don't like my mic falling over while I am talking because I gesticulate wildly, truly. And I'm going to catch up on the chat briefly because I haven't been scrolling while just about 911. Let's see. Ali K23, you've been wanting to watch real TV again so bad. Yeah. So I bought an antenna. It doesn't work for everyone. Like, basically like old-fashioned rabbit ears, except it's like a thing that you buy and you connect it to your TV. So like a smart TV, so you can get terrestrial channels, because I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in a really long time. I'm a cord cutter. So that's been really helpful. And like, I know someday I might give in, but I refuse to pay for like YouTube TV because I'm sorry. Why are you $80? It's just new cable. Like, I'm not going to have to be locked into like $100 a month because of sports packages. And it's just cable is reborn. And like, there's the reason I cut cable in the first place. Spider-Man is on your rewatch. You just wanted the pure buddy feels on this watch. I mean, so obviously, buddy shipper, hi. I mean, there are multiple reasons I end up falling for the show, but I'm actually glad that I liked the show independent of that. Because if it's all you're watching for, I mean, we can talk about fandom drama. We're going through the horrors right now. Although I am not a doomer. I will never close. I trust the show. I trust Tim Minear. If like Tim Minear has no more fans, I'm dead. Like, because I I know how network TV works, and I trust my media literacy, and I have many, many thoughts and feelings. But I love the show beyond that. And I think that if there are fans who don't love 911 as beyond that, and then it's not going to be as pleasant. I like all of it, though. It's like camp and ridiculous. But to further sell it to you, like this, it's so stupid. It is like the stupidest show, and I love it with my whole heart. I love it because it's dumb. That's the same reason I love disaster movies. They're so stupid and cheesy, and I love it. Yet the character work on 911 it has some great writing, and this show can have me dying laughing and then 5 minutes later make me weep. Like two that pop into my mind, and if you know, you know. The guy in the attic during the tsunami. I cry every single time. And the horse, y'all, destroys me. There are a couple other moments, but like this show. Oh, and the mom who falls into the hole. Is that like season 5? I want to say it could even be 6, which is my hater season, but it might be early 6. I skipped 6 after watching like 2 episodes of 6 in my rewatch and going, no, really, I hate this. But the mom in the whole one is also brutal. There are just some really like good moments. When it hits, it hits. And sometimes it is ridiculous. Like, I don't think it's perfect. There are episodes I actually loathe. Well, I loathe Wide Swaths of season 6. We can talk about it. I have feelings. I have so many feelings. Let's see. Medical emergencies and sharing your feelings with found family. Yes, that is 911 in a nutshell. Let's see. Who needs cable when you have streaming apps? Yes. And so it's so funny that now, like, I am one of the older people. Like, I'm in my 40s now. Cheers. But when I was in my early 30s, I was always the token millennial at work. And I was the one who was like, guys, cord cutting is real. Cable needs to be on watch. I don't have cable anymore. I stream everything, and people did not listen to me. I was like the Pat Young, and like, who was right about everything? Me. Proud, but TV's a mess. I love TV, but TV is a mess. Spider-Manners also has a soft spot for Chim and Maddie. So this is the thing with my journey with 911 and why I am a season 1 apologist. And then people who don't watch 911 are like, what is she talking about? So important context if you decide to watch 911, and I always include this in my pitch. It is not like Parks and Rec where season 1 is like completely tonally different and kind of bad. I love Parks and Rec. But the thing with Parks and Rec, if you know, you know, season 1 is really weird because they didn't know what they were yet. And Parks and Rec did like not even a soft reboot. Parks and Rec does a hard reboot in the middle of season 2 that turns it into one of the best shows ever made. They get rid of this character and this dynamic with Leslie that isn't working, and they bring in new characters. 911 does a similar thing, though for different reasons, except season 1, I think, has a lot of merit to it, even if you don't like the things that ultimately I'm glad are gone. Because there's some really tight writing in season 1. The emergencies are really good, and it's essential character establishment for every single main character, including people who became my favorites. But also, I adore Chimney. Until Buck grew on me, which we'll get to, Chimney was my favorite character, and he is so good in season 1. The Chimney shit in season 1 is so good. Not to mention like, once you get to Bobby's backstory in season 1, you're like, what is this show? It is genuinely insane. Like, the heights of like 911 is insane. When I tell you, like, some of the story choices they make. So, and I guess I appreciate this as a writer. There's some cases where I see exactly what they're doing and I go, yes, that's what I would have done. They surprise me sometimes, and I like that. Stories get really predictable. Media can get really predictable when you have to learn the craft and you write stories. And the one that genuinely got me, like in the best way, was Buck. So, and that they strung us up, like season 4, they hit you with this character plot twist for Buck, who ended up being my favorite character, who was a lot of people's favorite character. And he is the show's special boy. They favor him to a ridiculous degree that, as an Eddie girl as well, does upset me. Like, can we ever get an Eddie storyline that is not through the lens of Buck? Question mark. Tim, if you're listening, he's not listening. That is my plea. We kind of got it in 905. kind of, but oh, poor Eddie. Long story short, too late thing. Buck's character backstory twist, which I am not going to spoil here because I want people here who have not seen 911 to watch 911. I was so impressed. I thought it was one thing. I was like, oh, they're going to go with this trope. And then it was not. And yet it was something that I had on my idea file list of things to do in a book. I was like, respect and props. But it is so insane and so foundational to his character. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with some of their choices. They're bad ones too. They do make bad choices. One of my least favorite episodes of 911 is in season 6, and it is a Buck episode. I think it is a travesty of writing, but I also don't blame the writer. I know it's the network's fault. TV is really complicated. Like, they meddle. There's all these like considerations, and that's also why I am deeply patient about Buddy. The fact, this is more of me selling it, and I did like, you're getting kind of the spoiler level that I had before I paused Jane's video and then went and binge watched all of 911. But I actually think this is a positive spoiler because season 6 I think is so rough that people need to know that it's worth continuing to get to season 7. It's important. 911 was on Fox for 6 seasons, and then it was canceled on Fox. But ABC had, done their merger with Fox, and they switched it to ABC. Though in distribution rights, it's still like when they took it over, it was still it's still technically a 20th Century Fox production, although now it's an ABC production because they moved studios. And you're like, I don't care about any of this, but like this is pretty rare for something to be canceled on one network and then carried over to another, and it's because of the whole everyone owning each other thing. But it's like the best thing that could have ever happened to the show. And I was about to say, like, you're going to sound like a conspiracy theorist. We got confirmation of this. We got confirmation that they had wanted to have a character be bisexual and also a character would be gay, which is a whole other thing on Fox, and Fox said no. Fans are not crazy. They were writing towards something and then they were told no, and that is not uncommon on network, by the way. And they had to change it. As soon as they moved to ABC, that character is bisexual. You have a canon bisexual male firefighter who is one half of a major ship. And he became canon bisexual as soon as it moved to ABC. And so that's why I will never close. I think things are coming. It's so good, y'all. And that kept me going because I think season 6 is really rough. You can tell that they were about to be canceled. They make some insane character choices that are very OOC in season 6. All right, I will at least briefly stop talking about 911 for now. But that has been my life for like the last year and a half. I'm seeing some heated rivalry in the chat. Yes, as well. I actually was really scared that I was so heated rivalry brained for the last month that 911 wouldn't get me back because I haven't like my 911 brain just went quiet and then I went full heated rivalry. But we're so back with 9B. I guess we're gonna have 9A, B, and C because of the way they're gonna break up the season. But 911, we are so back. We are so back. And this is a compliment. One of my favorite things about the show in the last couple seasons is how it's straight up fan fiction. There have been scenes and moments literally ripped from AO3. The show, when it goes hard, it goes hard. But heated rivalry, yes. Obsessed. I think I watched the club scene in episode 4 of Heated Rivalry 7 or 8 times, like that night. I've watched it more since. When All the Things She Said dropped, I screamed out loud in my apartment. I screamed. Like, it's like the most millennial show ever in a millennial. Like, we finally have a show that I feel really feels like an elder millennial, like, moment. I love everything about it. I understand all of Jacob Tierney's references, including in that club scene. If he did not have in the back of his mind Queer as Folk, I will eat my hat. I had a moment, though, of, like, Brian Kinney coded. I love everything about it. I'm so glad that show exists. God bless Canada. Thank you, every Canadian taxpayer, for Heated Rivalry. I love you. You're doing the most. Let's see. In the chat, is anyone else also obsessed with Heated Rivalry, the television show? And I love Francois Arnaud. Like, I didn't fully watch the Borgias, but I did watch season 1 of the Borgias, and I always liked him. And I'm like, I'm so glad he is having a moment. He is lovely. And of course, Connor and Hudson, like obsessed. Connor, I want to adopt him. I want to like mom friend him so hard. And when I found out he was a high school foreign exchange student, I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm like, there are so few Americans who study abroad as high school students for a year. I feel like I know Connor in my bones. We are weird people. That's positive, but we are odd people, and I love everything about him. And Hudson, obviously. Hudson is so strange. I like how never get media training Hudson Williams. My December was great because of Heated Rivalry. I was just like constantly distracted by everything being a grease fire. Let's see. That's the one thing about being a writer. You can be like, I see what you're doing, but on the other hand, you're like, what the hell is going to happen? Which is amazing. Yes. Like when a book does that too, that's why I really appreciate books that, you know, we love a widely appealing book, but I love it when an author is aware, like, yeah, the basic audience isn't going to know, but they serve both readers. And I now try to do that with my books when I can. Like, yeah, like someone who's never read a thriller before is going to be absolutely shocked by this twist, but someone who's read 200 is going to see it coming. So I'm going to do this other thing as well. I like to do that. And 911 is very good at that kind of 1-2 punch. I just appreciate in appreciating strong writing, like Jacob Tierney, Heated Rivalry, very well written. I feel like I know exactly which season 6 episode you were on about. Buck's entire arc in season 6 and season 5. I have conspiracy theories about what they did with Buck in season 5 and 6. They're neither here nor there. I have so many feelings. It happened with Lucifer too, the network change. Though Lucifer, I'd also say that was since it went to streaming. The only other example I can think of where like it changed networks would be, for similar reasons actually, would be Brooklyn 911, which went from Fox to NBC, but that's because NBC, Universal Television, made Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's just pretty rare for network, something go network to network, and it's usually because of who actually owns the show, who makes it and distributes it, and them having a financial stake in saving a thing. It's why something like Hannibal didn't get saved. I know so much inside baseball about some of this stuff because I do work in television. Hannibal didn't get saved because it was a third-party production and it was very expensive to make. And so there was just no incentive for anyone to pick it up. And they don't have the rights to Silence of the Lambs. That's the other reason there were issues with Hannibal. That one is my one that got away. I'm still upset about that show being canceled. And every time Brian Fuller gives an update that maybe they'll do another season, I'm like, please. I love Hannibal. I just love smart, good TV. I love genre, all that kind of stuff. Like I watch an obscene amount of television, like truly. No, I was that kid where people were like, you can't watch a ton of TV and be a good student. I was like, watch me watch 6 to 8 hours of TV a day and get straight A's. Challenge accepted. I love television. Marsh the Bun A. You haven't watched past episode 3 because you were getting too excited and it was giving you a headache. Episode 3 of Heated Rivalry is very good. Watch 4, 5, and 6 though. Like they go really, like the season splits really well. It's well structured, which is another reason I liked it. Though if I'm allowed to have a slight quibble, I would have loved a little more Scott and Kip. But like episode 5 would have been like 2 hours if they'd done that. I do like Scott and Kip, and I hope we get more in season 2 because I really liked their standalone episode. I like it all. You're welcome as a Canadian. If only we weren't so fuck-ass in the United States about television and arts funding. We are a hot mess. Let's see. How do I think HR handled adapting the book to TV overall? Very well. I did read the book. I read the book after I started watching the show, which could have introduced bias because I read the book between episodes 3 and 4. So like I watched a few, I started the book, and then I think it was brilliantly done because he added so much that is not in the book. The book is very sparse on a lot of things. It is a quick read. I wouldn't say I am like an overwhelming stan of the book. It was enjoyable, but I like the show better because I like more. I just like and this is something that the medium of TV can do that would be boring in a book. I liked all the extra Svetlana stuff. I liked kind of fleshing out some of their life stuff. I just liked all those additional scenes. And like, all right, if you are book lovers, like, haters don't come for me. Like, I liked that the show understood that the tuna melt doesn't matter that much, or it doesn't matter for the reasons books stand. Like, I thought the tuna melt thing was way over exaggerated by the fandom. I got to that part in the book and I was like, and I thought the show achieved balance and actually took that segment and created an arc of it without overemphasizing the tuna melt. I thought the show understood the assignment. And I get, obviously, like, when you're a book fan, you're going to latch on to like big, like, little moments in a book. But it was definitely an interesting experience half watching the show, hearing the hype, being spoiled a lot on Twitter. I did actually look on Twitter. I ventured back onto Twitter for Heated Rivalry. I feel like, who am I? And Tumblr. I actually watched the show because of Tumblr. I was on a cruise and a gift set came on my dash and I was like, what is this? Because I'm also back on Tumblr because of 911. I watched Heated Rivalry because of gift set on Tumblr. I was like, queer TV spidey senses tingling. Like, I did not understand what I was seeing, and then I educated myself very, very quickly. And also because, like, all the buddies are obsessed with Heated Rivalry. It's like, it's a Venn diagram that is a circle. Though little now, Buck Tommies are also into Heated Rivalry, and I'm like, ugh, the worst person you know has a good opinion once in a while. Sorry, that was really mean, but Buck Tommies, man, that's fandom discourse. Hydrating. This we're boomeranging. I need to complete a thought. Jacob Tierney is brilliant at adaptation. I was actually very impressed because I thought the book was fine. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever read. I liked it, but I wasn't like overwhelmed. It is literally the book, and yet like 8 million times more, while being exactly the same. It's impressive what he did, and the acting and the performances. Like, I would love to read his scripts because just the level of nuance they were able to put in there, and the texture that they added. The book didn't have the texture that I like in a romance book. Personally, I like a lot of navel gazing and internalization and, texture, and the show added all of that. I see Pluribus in the chat. Pluribus. When I say I think we're in a new golden age of TV, we are in a new golden age of TV. I have not felt like this since like Lost BSG era. Pluribus is so freaking good. That was also hard. I had to whiplash between Heated Rivalry and Pluribus in December. I was like, these are two very different things, watching both of them. The Diplomat slapped in 2025. I love The Diplomat on Netflix. We're just in an era of TV, like truly an era of TV. I mentioned Matlock earlier. I actually haven't watched season 2 yet. I've been waiting, saving it to like binge watch, because that's kind of how I enjoyed season 1, and that's helpful with a mystery show. But Matlock season 1 is very good. I love Kathy Bates. I thought it was a very smart reboot. It's more like a requel or whatever you want to call it. It's like a wink at Matlock, and I adored Matlock as a kid. I was such a weird kid. I watched Matlock, and I was about to say Murder, She Wrote. I actually did not watch Murder, She Wrote as a kid. I watched it as an adult. But like Matlock was my mystery show, my, curmudgeonly Southern, mystery show on basic television. I still cry about Hannibal to Lead the Lens, right? I remain upset about that cancellation. And every once in a while, I just like will rewatch it to feel things. Because it is just so immaculately done. The food still gives me the cringe. I know it wasn't actually people, but like the food design on that show was so good. I'm like, you are freaking me out with all the food on this show. Saying what I would not give for season 4 of Hannibal, right? The things I would do for season 4 of Hannibal. But yeah, like as I mentioned, there's inside baseball-y stuff as to why that didn't go. That is upsetting and disappointing. But I'm hoping if they can work out the rights issue with Silence of the Lambs, and the Silence of the Lambs, CBS had the rights. That series failed, so maybe something will work out with that. Severance too. So Severance, I have not caught up on season 2. I'm just like, 911 ate me so hard, and I kept rewatching 911 and reading fan fiction that I got very behind in a lot of television. It's kind of a miracle I did watch The Diplomat season 3. But yeah, I often will hyper focus and then not watch other things. Yellow Jackets is another one. I watched season 1 and season 2, and I haven't watched the subsequent seasons because I've been so 911 brained. Mess. Someone mentioned Silo. I also watched season 1 of Silo. Haven't watched season 2. Just all the things I'm behind on, all the streaming services I pay for, and keep paying for, because I'm like, someday I'm just gonna want to binge watch the entire season of a thing I've put off watching for 2 years, and if I don't have the subscription, I'm gonna be mad about it. So I keep all of my subscriptions. Same thing with Traitors. Like, I love the Traitors, and I'm watching the current season because I can't miss it, but I saved Celebrity UK Traitors, so I started that last night because I'm like in a Traitors mindset right now. So I just kind of bounce around. Landman. I haven't watched Landman. I did. That's the Yellowstone verse, I believe. I watched a bit of Yellowstone and I liked it, but not enough to get sucked into all the shows. But I keep telling myself I should go back and watch them because they are technically something I would like, the historical drama of it all. And I might be wrong that Landman is connected, actually. It might not be connected at all. I might have just made that up. And if I did, I have a question for their marketing team, because why did I make that association? The Seven Dials Mystery, I am going to watch that for sure, because I love Christy. I have a problem, though, with Netflix. I find their algorithm and their interface so overwhelming when they switched it a couple years ago, when they started adding all the garbage original movies and all that kind of stuff. It's overwhelming. I find it unpleasant to go into Netflix, which means I stopped watching a lot of Netflix. I have to pointedly go in to watch a specific thing, but sometimes even when I want to watch a specific thing, I will still not open Netflix. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to open HBO Max or Peacock interface-wise or Hulu, if I'm going to look for something, and they're going to take Hulu from me soon. I'm going to be forced onto the Disney Plus UI, which is, and actually the worst streaming UI is Paramount Plus. They try, but it's not good. Still have it. But Netflix, yeah, I have so many things to catch up on Netflix. I still haven't watched the new Knives Out mystery, and I know that I need to, but Heated Rivalry ate me, et cetera, et cetera. And Netflix by Warner Brothers, and it's the apocalypse of Hollywood, and but lesser of evils. I would rather Netflix by Warner Brothers than Paramount. What world are we living in? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The end of, but I've been on like death watch for Warner Brothers for years, because I do know people who work there, and I've been worried for years about them basically dismantling one of the oldest studios in Hollywood and how much we're going to lose. It's really upsetting and depressing. Because I love movies, and I love this industry, and I believe in what we do, even though I can be cynical about it. The Studio, watch The Studio. The Studio is amazing. That's another one I watched in 2025. So accurate, and yet doesn't even go far enough of the stuff that I have seen and that I know. And I don't work in that part of the industry, but we know things. We see things. I'm on the boring, stable part that enables me to also write novels side of TV, which I like. I like it that way. I didn't watch the Cleary show, Lee the Lens mentioned, because so with my thing about millennial who was warning my colleagues about cord cutting, I don't work at CBS, but one of the reasons I fell off on all CBS Paramount shows is because they refuse to play in the streaming model for like a decade. So if a show was on Hulu, I was an early adopter of Hulu, I watched it. They refused to play ball with Hulu. So therefore, I didn't watch any CBS, Viacom, Paramount stuff for like a decade. Ton of pop culture I missed out on, though mostly pop culture for older people. But trust me, now we have Paramount Plus, which is still the worst streaming service. It has the worst UI because they were last in market. And because they were so resistant, because they wanted to force people to have cable subscription to watch Big Bang Theory and blah, blah, blah. So I stopped watching all those shows that I used to watch. And Clarissa is one of the ones that fell through the cracks. And there was something weird with their rights, I heard. They are not on streaming. So they're not on Paramount Plus, so I never got to watch it, which is really dumb. Rights issues come up more than you think with distribution. So Marsh the Bonnet, your mom is obsessed with Traitors. I'm jealous of you because you're in Canada. You get to watch Canadian Traitors, which is produced by Jake Tierney, by the way. We can't watch that here, at least not in a normal way, maybe I could pay for a VPN, but every other English language version of Traitors is on Peacock except for Canada. And I am here begging to no one listening, because I don't think anyone who works in distribution for Canadian Traitors is watching this. Why haven't you licensed Traitors in the US? I will watch your show. I have watched every English language version of Traitors on Peacock. I mean, really, what is Peacock doing? Peacock, get with the program. I assume there's a negotiation rights issue with Traitors Canada, but it makes me sad because I'm on all the Traitors subs on Reddit and people talk about it and I want to watch it. Anyway, honestly, if they made the foreign language ones available, I would watch them too. I have some like torrenty bootlegs of them and you're like, well, then couldn't you watch the Canadian one that way? I don't like watching television on my computer anymore. I prefer to I'd rather pay money to subscribe to something to have it on my TV, my big TV, than have to worry about my computer. Like I have thought about watching like the Netherlands, the OG Traitors with subtitles, but I always get like distracted. So yeah. Let's see. I also still haven't watched Smallville. I mean, I watched Smallville when it originally aired, but I never finished it. And now that I'm into DCU, I'm like, should I go back and just watch Smallville from the beginning? But then it'll bring up like weird, Allison Mack stuff and how awkward that got. Yeah, not lying about Paramount, hate using it. Worst streaming UI. And I get a little like, because people will like drag Peacock. I was like, no, Paramount has the worst UI. Peacock does not have the worst UI. And actually, Hulu changed their UI. Their old UI was better than their current one. It's like the enshittification of everything on the internet. And like I grumbled about Disney Plus. It doesn't have the worst UI of the streaming services. I'd say probably my favorite is probably HBO Max, but when it was HBO Max, I don't like it as much since they integrated the Discovery content. I also have Discovery Plus because I'm a masochist, and I'm excited for them to divide those up again because they made a mistake. They were wrong. I want HBO to be a separate entity. Like, the worst is when you log on to HBO Max or whatever they want to call it, and they have one of the ID channel documentaries on the documentary row. I'm sorry, there's a difference between an investigation discovery documentary, which I will watch, but I know that they're bullshit popcorn, and an HBO documentary, which is like journalism. And so I always go into the HBO brand portal because I'm not going to watch, like, if I want to watch a real documentary, it's not TV, it's HBO, but it's definitely not A&E or ID. Those are separate experiences that I like to have when I want to watch something cheesy true crime. Same thing with Netflix, like so many, like, and which is also a big change. Netflix used to have some legit documentaries and now they have a bunch of bullshit with really shady, like editorial. Like, as a cruise person, maybe we'll talk about cruising. I really didn't like the, Amy, what's her face, cruise documentary. I thought it was really shady, like poor, like journalism ethics issues, all sorts of them. There's some that you watch, you're like, oh no. Yes, it is. Traitors UK, Canada is produced by Jacob Tierney. I'm like, this man is just doing so much for the culture. Love it. I only watched a couple episodes of it, but I've been meaning to watch Letterkenny. I started watching it. I want to like check out all of his stuff. I was like, oh, Jacob. Ooh, and now you're telling me the host of Canada is chaotic evil. I have to watch it. I love the different host culture. I love Alan. I loved Australia, though. Big feelings about Traitors Australia season 2 and the choices there, like object lesson and why casting is really, really important. Look, we love to root for a good evil traitor, but that goes in quote marks because if you actually have someone sociopathic as a traitor on the Traitors, it makes for terrible television. Ugh. But I actually liked Roger, the host of that show, as well. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for indulging me, Spider-Manners, about my psychoticness of also having Discovery Plus, because it's true. There's stuff on Discovery Plus that is not on HBO that I like to watch. Okay. Have I seen the Under the Red Hood movie? This is DCU. I haven't, and I know I should. I'm a little behind on kind of getting into like the DCU extended media because I have a feeling it's going to eat me, which is why I haven't put on like Young Justice and those sorts of things. Because I'm like, this is dangerous. It's already dangerous enough that I've fallen into the fanfic side of things. Like, I have read so much fan fiction. Like, I've gotten to the point where I am scraping the bottom of the barrel on Superbat. And we can like soft transition here. This is going to be a preview topic because I'm not going to talk about it on this live stream because I'm saving it. I'm probably going to pay for StreamYard again because I want to do like a whole presentation with like screen sharing and stuff. I want to talk about AI, Gen AI, and professional writing and fanfic, because what sent me down a rabbit hole is I found multiple Superbat fics. And this is exclusive. There's like a shift happened in the summer that was really demonstrable. And it's also in a shift I noticed in Buddy. I haven't caught it as much in Buddy, but there was at least one instance. And if you are in 911 Buddy fandom, you'll know someone else just blew up something about this on Twitter. I was not involved in that. And I'd say, I think their methodology in trying to call out AI fanfic was wrong. Like, they did it wrong. Mine is a little less exact, but I do believe I'm correct. I have found multiple fics that I am 99% positive were written using Gen AI, and we should all be really concerned. But I went down a rabbit hole because, like, I'm definitely the writer, so we're halfway talking about AI writing. Look, a writing topic right now. And people ask me, Alexa, what's your opinion? Are you going to make a video on this? No, I didn't, because I didn't want to sit down and make a YouTube video. And like, a part of me is like, oh, you should have, because then you could have done a comparative video now, because I think it's really interesting, like the shift and change. And it's like what I would have said 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, the speed with which Gen AI has evolved is crazy, and we should all be concerned. I am, sounding the watch. When it first dropped, if I had actually sat down to make a video, I did think about it for like 5 seconds, and then I didn't do it. I would have said, this is ridiculous. We don't need to worry. AI cannot replace good writing. I still think that, by the way. However, because I tested it when it first dropped, I went in and I was like, yeah, this ain't shit. I asked ChatGPT to write a thriller passage, and it sucked. It really wasn't good. Yeah, so that's changed. With a caveat. So, sorry, pardon me, blowing my nose. I have a deviated septum, so that's why I always have a runny nose. It's pretty deeply unpleasant. And I also have like allergies. If you'll see me, like, I've always, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but I've always worried that people would think I had like a cocaine problem. I've never done a drug in my life, and I'm not kidding, because I'm always like dabbing my nose. That's because of my severely deviated septum and bad sinuses. Just FYI. And I know it's really gross. And I edit it out usually. I'm not going to blow my nose on camera, but we're on a live, so we're stuck. Live and exciting. So AI writing. I was reading a fan fiction this summer, and I just got like, I call it uncanny valley, but for reading. And I think that's the best way to describe it. And what is interesting now is that I actually don't subscribe to the people who are like, you can always tell, it's so obvious. No, it's not. It is no longer obvious. And the normal tells don't work. Like M dashes. Yeah, they ingested all of our books. All of my books are part of that lawsuit, which they still have not sent me a claim number. And I need to follow up on that because, yeah, they ingested all of my books. All of my published books are part of the Anthropic thing. And the ones that haven't been sued and we don't have data, like I know they ingested all my books. And traditionally published fiction uses a lot of M dashes. Like M dashes is the standard. It's Chicago standard. You cannot tell anymore to the same degree, like just like looking at a paragraph. There are like some stylistic tells, but here's the thing. So I was reading a fan fiction and I felt crazy. And I was like, wait. So I went to ChatGPT and I gave it a prompt similar to the fic I was reading. And it spat something out of me that was like a mirror version of what I had read in the fic. I was like, you're not crazy. In that specific fic, there was some weird phrasing. And here's the thing. Humans can write weird phrasing. But there was like a metaphor or two that I was like, that's okay. It had like a series of hits. And it should never be one or two things in isolation. It should be a collection of things in its pattern recognition. It had, now mind you, a lot of buddy fic does this anyway, but it had a child character who canonically is usually between 7 and 14 in fics. And like often I'll read one where they're like, Chris is 7, but he sounds 15. That's just a problem with people writing children, or vice versa. I've read fics where they're like, Chris is 14 and he sounds 7. I have so many opinions about how people write children in general, but in the fandom. But this is a case where randomly they made Chris 4. Okay. No, it was the other way around. They made him 7 and he sounded 4. Like the level of the child speak was really weird. It was just very odd stylistically, the way they had him talking. And it was a child scene that didn't, now, look, people can write scenes that don't material contribute to a plot all the time. And we're going to talk, I'm just talking about AI now. I am going to do a separate stream on this because I have examples and there are things I actually like want to present and talk about and advertise ahead of time that I want to stream about AI, and people can join and we can talk about it, but you're getting a preview. But it did like a series of things where like it felt like something that had been fed into a prompt. It felt like a scene I'd read in 8 million other Eddie, Buck Eddie fics of Eddie and Chris having a conversation. The kid felt too juvenile, which does happen. There was something weird about the rhythm of the dialogue tags and action tags as well. And then the next scene was this very not non sequitur, but in the scene, multiple things happened. 2 characters appeared out of nowhere. They weren't in the scene, and then they just appeared in the scene in a weird way. And then the scene started over twice. It did the scene introduction, like the scene setting, twice in a very weird way. And I just like, it's like you get a shiver down your back and you're like, something's wrong with this fic. And it was also night and day from chapter 1. Where it's like, it was just like a series, like it just got real weird, real fast. So I went to ChatGPT and I was like, okay, this fic opened with a dinner scene between Buck, Maddie, and Chim, where Buck is talking to Maddie and Chim about Eddie. Here's the thing, that is a scene in a lot of buddy fic, like a lot. Like you are like, I'm not outing who this person is because that's 8 million scenes, but I actually think that is another reason that we need to be wary. Same thing with professional fiction, novels, anything that's tropey. I fed the ChatGPT that prompt. And it was slightly different, but a lot of the details were eerily the same. It was the same meal. It had the same detail about stirring sauce. It had similar metaphors. The dialogue was really similar. And the dialogue in both the fic I suspected and the prompt, just like a million other buddy fics I've read. And ChatGPT crawled AO3. They've ingested all these fics. And so then the same thing that I noticed in DCU, I was reading these fics and like, I didn't get that far into the buddy fic before it. I took a step back. I looked at the author's profile and they had posted 340,000 words of fic in 3 months. And look, there are some very prolific people, but it's just like a pattern thing. They had started multiple novel length fics over this period, posted 5 or 6 that were 60 to 80,000 words, most complete, very low engagement on them, similar writing style in all of them, kind of generic plots. I don't know. It just spidey senses. And I didn't do anything about it. I just made the choice not to read anymore because I don't want to read AI because with the uncanny valley feeling. So, but here's the thing. The line level writing was fine. In the DCU fics, the line level writing is fine and it can fool you. I've gotten 10 or 20,000 words into a couple of the DCU ones because I will forgive a lot when I'm reading fic, like errors. But when they start to feel repetitive with weird continuity and like characters showing up out of nowhere and just randomly dropping like super common fandom like things out of nowhere, non sequiturs is what I'll call them, is a sign. That is absolutely a red flag I noticed in a couple of them. Like, I'm sorry, what do you mean Jason Todd is suddenly a character in this fic and you're mentioning Pit Madness? That came out of nowhere. But, oh, cat cameo. Leo, what is the difference? What is the line? And this is what we have to be thoughtful about between just mediocre writing, amateur writing, and AI. And this is what we all have to be worried about. Because what is the difference? How can you tell? They're very similar. That could have just been amateur writing mistakes. So I think there is a soullessness and a lack of direction to the ones that I suspect are mostly AI generated. They feel derivative, and there's something like lacking from a human making decisions themselves in a fic, in my opinion. But when I tested ChatGPT, I encourage you to do this if you'd like, just to like blow your mind if you're not doing this. Don't actually use ChatGPT, by the way. You will never catch me ever actually using ChatGPT. I refuse to use it at work. I hope that doesn't become a problem. I have flat out refused. It has come up. Corporate places are trying to enforce AI usage. I won't. I turn it off on all of my things. I don't look at AI search results. I will never use it for writing, for any part of writing. I will never use it for brainstorming. I hate it. I hate everything about it. But I do think you need to know your enemy. You can ask it to write in the style of authors that it has ingested, and it is spooky. I've asked it to write in the style of Alexa Donne, and it is like, I would never write that. So there's going to be a separate stream, and I will have examples, and we're going to have so much fun comparing my actual writing to what ChatGPT thinks I write like. And I also want to test Claude. I've heard Claude is even better, which we should be concerned about. It's me, but it's not me. Like the computer understands my writing style and then writes shit I would never write. But here's the concern. And I tested it to write in the style of other people I know too, that it's like I have friends who've published 12 books, and it really will ape their style, and it's really creepy. They only have 5 of mine, and different genres. ChatGPT struggled more when I gave it write like Alexa Donne in style of a thriller. It did more YA thriller because it has my YA thrillers. It struggled a lot more when I asked it to write like adult romance, and I have the comparison of my unpublished adult romance, and it's like night and day. ChatGPT tries. It cannot achieve what I can do. But it is scary because on a line level, it's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And it is better. It is better than bad writing, and it's better than mediocre amateur writing. And we should be scared because a lot of readers don't care. I assume if you're here, you care about good writing. A lot of readers literally don't care. They will read AI written books and they don't care. And it makes me sad. So per the preview of this channel, it's never been more important to work on your craft, because what's going to set you apart is actual understanding of storytelling craft and line level prose. And because one thing I will say, it's above average, it's passable, but it doesn't know how to actually like build tone and tension and like really like it can't do sustained craft of any kind. And that's also a tell. Like there's almost like a bland sameness to it. That's the uncanny valley feeling of reading suspected AI writing, in my opinion. But that said, I also think unscrupulous people can edit AI writing into, that's what I'm really scared of. People who can actually edit it to a point where I wouldn't be able to tell. Yeah, and like, so back to the chat. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to use the chat bot. I just decided, oh shit, I actually should probably know what it can do. I ignored it for, when did ChatGPT launch? A year and a half ago? I ignored it until this fall when I was like, you need to know the enemy. And now I'm a little freaked out. I haven't even tested the new one, the new model. As I said, I haven't tested Claude. Juanita's Creative Corner, AI does not understand emotion or feelings. Yeah, and it doesn't understand the organic buildup of those emotions and feelings. It can ape them. You can ask it to do it, but it cannot do it with a real consistency. And that's like with those specs, as I was mentioning, they were melodramatic. They had emotion, but I wasn't connecting to anything. Now, there are amateur writers who can fail to create those connections, but AI also fails to create those connections. So I think overall, honestly, AI screws over amateur writers like really bad. Like how are you going to get better if your competition is a computer? It's not great. It's not great at all. And a readership that doesn't always care. We just need readers to care. And to that end, I think that things should always be labeled if they're AI. We're just in the wild, wild west where anyone can do anything that they want. And I can tell you with complete certainty, I'm more positive than ever. I've also seen people vague posting on Reddit. There are traditionally published books by authors, best-selling authors using AI. I have unfortunately, no doubt. And it hurts me in my soul on every level. I get really mad and pedantic about it. And just the shit I've seen on Reddit of people justifying the writing with AI. You are not a writer if you are using Gen AI to write. You are not actually writing. Salty hot take. Probably not with this audience. I would hope, though. Never underestimate the ability for a hater to show up in the comments and say, and well, actually, a person. Let's see. Fic to trad. Oh, we're talking about output. Here's the thing. Some people can do crazy output, 100%. There are some people who do that in fandom. I'm like, wow. I know some professional authors who I know for a fact I've watched them write. I'm like, wow. Those are outliers, though. And volume is a tell that you do need to look for. It is a tell. The problem is it's not an automatic tell. It's pattern recognition. You have to dig deeper than just volume. And here's the thing. There have been a couple of DCU ones where they actually aren't publishing in volume. I still suspect it. They're not publishing a ton, but I still get and that's the thing. If volume is a like warning sign, then smart people won't post in volume. Like, it's one of those things where we're never gonna be able to prove it definitively, I don't think. And so AI detectors don't really work. So there was 2 days ago, 72 hours ago, someone tried to do a takedown on Twitter of a buddy fanfic writer, but they used AI detectors as the backbone of their argument, and that just doesn't work. They also used M dashes as the backbone of their argument, and that just doesn't work. In my fanfic that I will not talk about, there's M dashes because I'm a professional writer. I use Scrivener. So my fic has M dashes in it. That doesn't tell you anything. And if you were to run my fic through an AI detector, it would probably flag because AI ingested all my work. So it also ingested AO3. So you cannot use AI detector to detect AI. They suck. One has not been created that I think that I would trust. They don't really work for academics either. Let's see. An MIT study, Your Brain on ChatGPT, accumulation of cognitive debt when using AI assistant for essay writing tasks. Yeah, I will probably read that. It is horrifying. It is real bad. I guess we're just slightly talking about AI right now. It's fine. I will still do a separate stream with examples, but this is a free-for-all. We're talking about what's interesting. So the other reason this has been on my mind is kind of someone just, can I talk about AI in college admissions? Yeah, because I think that's also... It's been there and it's going to get worse. This is academically related. The other reason this has been on my mind, I had not one but 2 high school students email me last month about my books as an assignment for school. And both of them used AI, would use ChatGPT and hadn't read the books. They sent me questions about my books and it was all wrong. Every single thing was wrong because ChatGPT lies. It lies. When I asked it, you can do this. When I asked it to teach me how to write like Alexa done, this is my thought. This is one of the ones I'll share when we do a live where I can actually share my screen. I have to pay for StreamYard. I'm so sad. So sad, so cheap. Toxic capitalism and shitification. It made up quotes. It had example quotes from my books that weren't real. Yeah. And what I found insulting, but also gratifying. Those made up quotes, my real writing is so much better than those made up quotes. I was like, but also, why would you make up quotes from the Ivies? Real quotes exist. But these students sent me emails that included lines I did not write with page numbers they did not come from because they don't exist. And plot points and characters that don't exist in my books. If you are student aged, don't use ChatGPT for school. ChatGPT lies. It's not a fact engine. It is full of lies. It tells you what you want to hear. Don't use it. Critical thinking. Like they literally could have like picked up a copy of my book from the library, turned to a random page and at least quoted a real quote. And I wouldn't have caught them necessarily. how are we living in an era where I'm like, whatever happened to Cliff Notes? What about the good old days of Cliff Notes? And I was always that psychotic overachiever. I never used Cliff Notes. I always read the book like a chump, except for once. You want to hear my dark, academic secret? I never read A Tale of Two Cities. I never finished it because I hated that book. And before our quiz on it, I asked Gary, who's sitting next to me, Gary, who now works at Google. I asked Gary what happened, and he gave me a plot summary so that I could pass the quiz. It's the only borderline academic dishonest thing I ever did. And it's borderline. I just didn't finish the book. I didn't use Cliff Notes, but yeah. I don't regret not finishing that book. I really hated that book. And I liked other Dickens. I just really hated A Tale of Two Cities. That's the one time in school I did not finish the book for school. But in every other case, I was that weirdo who read the book. Though it's not that weird if you end up being a writer, is it? I feel like we're the weird overachievers. But I'm like, at least use Cliff Notes. It's written by a human and contains accurate information about the book through an academic lens. But yeah, with college admissions, I mean, I can imagine what it's like because I've been out of the game for a while. I can't imagine what it's like for admissions boards now. I bet the essays they're getting are ass. Absolute ass. Generic, grammatically perfect, maudlin bullshit. Because ChatGPT is really melodramatic. It writes bullshit. And it's like too perfect. Like, yeah, I'm not a fan. So I did look into OBS. We're talking about streaming stuff. And like, the thing is, StreamYard is already connected to my YouTube channel and I already know how to use it. And so I might just suck it up and pay for it. I've heard OBS has a bit more of a learning curve, and I'm not dumb. I'm decent at technology, but I'm lazy and StreamYard's easy. So we'll see. I'm just like, oh, so cheap. And I got A's. I was a straight A student. Yes. I mean, are you mad? It's like the one time I didn't finish a book. I read 2/3 of it. I just really hated it. And I fell asleep the night before the quiz. I was otherwise literally a perfect student. Like, I was Susie Brown-Noser, never cut a corner my entire academic career. Like you probably wouldn't want to be friends with me. Boring. So that's my one deep, dark secret. I did not finish A Tale of Two Cities, and Mrs. Anderson, who is not watching this, I'm sorry, but yeah, I read everything else. I was hardcore. I read for fun for school. I actually, I had very good teachers. They let me do like independent study books. Like, I forget what the class was reading, but they were reading something, and my teacher was like, you don't have to read the book. Like, what do you want to read? And I read The Tin Drum. I chose The Tin Drum to read instead. And in my junior year English class, because I had to take junior and senior English simultaneously with the same teacher to make up my credits, because I was an exchange student, they were reading Scarlet Letter. And I didn't have to read it because my teacher knew that I was also reading all my AP English books. I still read like part of it, but she was like, you don't have to read this one because I know that you're also reading like 3 books for AP English and a book for AP Psych. And I got to do my book report on my AP Psych book, which was The Bell Jar, which is great, instead of the Scarlet Letter. So like, teachers, like, when you have a weird girl who actually likes books, you can make exceptions. I don't know what these retracted messages were. Drama. I missed it. Hopefully it wasn't anything bad. If I am going to be streaming regularly, by the way, I'm probably going to need some moderators. We'll get there eventually because I just can't always catch everything. And I know people can be unhinged in live stream chats. The Bell Jar is a great book. Bell Jar slaps. I loved that book. Really intense, obviously upsetting, but good. Let's see. So Autumn Song 1701, I will trigger warning if anyone has body dysmorphia. We're going to talk about it briefly. The comment is you could relate to what I was saying about not knowing you were thin when you were a teenager, didn't know other people had this too. Absolutely. I think we have a mass body dysmorphia and diet culture problem. That's why the millennial skinny trend coming back is bad, because we're an entire generation that got fucked. I mean, every generation is a little screwed, but so here, I was overweight as a kid and a teenager. no question. But I wasn't fat, and I thought I was fat. Like, it was not great. And it created and fueled disordered eating and body dysmorphia in me that led to actual legitimate clinical fatness. It's like a cycle. And like, I think back about my high school self, and I'm like, that's just so sad. There was nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me whatsoever. Yeah. And led to just some like messed up mental stuff. And a lot of it was like, it was the culture, is how I grew up as well, but it was absolutely the culture. It was, skinny jeans hit when I was in high school. So like the low rise skinny jeans. So yeah, it wasn't skinny jeans, it was low rise jeans, but just that whole like trend. But also just like, you want to shop at the stores that everyone else is shopping at, and you can't fit into the clothes. So sizing's also changed a lot. We have more vanity sizing now. Like now, as the teen that I was, I would have still been in straight sizes much longer, and maybe my mind wouldn't have been as messed up. I don't know. And that's weird now. Like, I'm technically like, I feel like my size isn't my size, because I know that the size that I am now, I know they've vanity sized the sizes since I was this size. I was like, this is weird, but they're always doing that. That's like kind of a generational merch. Let's see. The retracted messages were about publishing, like good or bad publishing. Not that I want to bring up drama on the stream. We want to keep things like, y'all. I can be dangerous live. We're gonna keep me circumspect, and I'm not allowed to drink when we live stream. For the buddy live stream I did, if you want to go watch it, I wasn't drunk, but I was definitely tipsy, and I got very giddy and a little like mouth runny once or twice, and said things I probably shouldn't have said. So this is an electrolyte drink, and I've got a protein shake behind me, because I hydrate like a mofo. So yeah, you thought you were fat as a teen and everyone made you think you were, but you weren't. Yeah, that was my experience for sure. And part of it was just comparative, because my peers were genuinely small people, and I was absolutely bigger than all of them, because I was tall. I was the tallest person. I've been the tallest person in my class since 3rd or 4th grade. Tallest girl, but also sometimes tallest person before the boys shot up. But even then, I often am taller than the boys. I'm 5'10". And proportional, like, I've always been roughly proportional, but legit, compared to a lot of the other girls, I was bigger than everyone else. But I wasn't like conceptually what we would consider like fat. Not really. Like, meaning I was healthy. I was active. But I couldn't, the one that hurt me the most, if you know, elder millennial, I couldn't wear the clothes from Express. And that was like a pain in my life. Yeah, all the cool girls wore Express, and the only thing I could buy at Express, and I did, and I was so deeply uncool, because they used to have those like logo sweatshirts. That's what I would wear. I couldn't buy the cute clothes at Express. I was so deeply uncool. I also wore leggings before they were cool. Leggings are cool now, but I used to be ridiculed for wearing leggings and sweatshirts and headbands. All things that became cool later, by the way, head of the trend. I was a nerd before it was cool. I was born at the wrong time. But yeah, just like, you're always being called out if you're different. And I was the tallest, biggest girl, and like did a number on me mentally for sure. And I went on my first diet when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I yo-yo dieted for 20 years. And every single time I stopped dieting, I gained more weight, because that is a very common cycle. Because diets don't really work, and they reinforce toxic, disordered eating patterns, which usually aren't going to go well for you. Restriction is bad. Reading. PJ Canadian. I work in publishing in Canada, and until recently had a Big 5, not an editorial. When we've been assigned manuscripts to read and give feedback, I've really got to get back in StreamYard so I can put these on the screen, but I would still read them out loud for accessibility. There's definitely been an occasion or two where I've raised an eyebrow. I feel bad for authors. Unless they have a track record that started pre-AI, there's going to be a seed of doubt. Again, we're just gonna have a whole separate stream for this, but we're doing it now because yes, that has been really circulating in my mind over the last month, especially as someone. I really am uncomfortable with author as brand because of the level of like, I mean, I've literally disappeared from the internet for years because I was uncomfortable with it. Yes, I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking that it's deeply unfair to newer writers, amateur writers, debut writers, writers coming in who do not have a pre-established track record, because author as brand is what, do you trust an author is going to become more important than ever with AI. Like, I mean, first of all, I hope you trust me. Like, truly, when I tell you I hate AI, I will literally never use it for any component of my work, ever. But also, my first book came out in 2018. And I was writing before that. Before these tools existed, you can be confident. You can look at my writing and look at the trajectory of my writing. I have never used it, will never use it. So I have an unfair advantage over newer writers. Because I have that bona fide. And I think this is going to lead to a really unfortunate further stratification of the have and the have-nots in publishing, which already existed. People who debuted 10 years before me have healthier careers, and not across the board, but like outliers, healthier careers and stronger footholds, because if you it's just the tumbling downhill thing that if you start, why writers who debuted in 2012 who survived, some of this is also survivorship bias, but like have stronger career footholds than people who debuted in 2018, and people who debuted in 2018 have stronger career footholds in a general sense, not outliers, than people who debuted in 2022. It's like always getting worse. Yay. And I feel like really bad. It's going to be a real challenge in terms of we're going to see a needed rise in authenticity, branding, and author marketing, and it's going to be really, really interesting. And it's literally going to come down to, do you believe someone and who they are and their authenticity and their integrity and their ethics, which means you're going to have to be out there more. But also it means that narcissists and sociopaths and pathological liars are going to be fine because they're going to trick you. Great. Yay. We're just boomeranging. Laura Palmer D. How do you define fat versus overweight? I'm Eastern European, and even mildly overweight would be called fat. That's a great question. So, to the elder millennial definition, yes, even mildly overweight was called fat, and still, I think in a lot of cases is. Except then we had the body positivity movement, and also, frankly, just normalization of bigger bodies in U.S. culture because most of us are overweight, for good and for bad. I think we should have more normalization. And I will say comparatively, the UK has always had, in my experience, much more healthy attitudes about bodies than the US, even though more of us are overweight. I have also lived in Europe, like in Germany. And yes, I know it's literally exactly what you mean. My host sister, who was similar to me, very tall and proportional, definitely tiny. I forget what her European size would have been, but her US size would have been like a size 8. People called her fat. 6'8". She was considered fat in Germany. And I, at the time, was a 12 in Germany. I was like, man, I'm a whale. Was not. But like, because my host sister was bullied for her body. And she was what I considered to be tiny. So yes. But that's the thing, like growing up in the 90s and into the early 2000s, like literally, if you had just like pudge or just like for me, I was tall, I was proportional. There was a time in my life where I probably was a size 8, but no, I was like a 10-12 and I was considered fat. And a 10-12 then is what size 8 is, 8-10 is now, because of vanity sizing has definitely changed. I was proportional, but very tall and chesty, which is a whole other thing. And yeah, now we're a little nicer, and that's why I don't like that the trend is rubber banding back. We've been nicer to ourselves and each other, and now millennial skinny trend is coming back, and that is bad. That is bad. I always liked the UK because in the UK, I never felt fat when I lived in the UK. I lived in the UK, and I'll just repeat my trigger warning for anyone who's joining. Just the fact that I'm talking about weight and sizes is not good for people who are working, who are battling a disordered eating and body dysmorphia. I'm at a point where I can talk about it, but I know that's not always the case. So if this is not something you can hear, tap out for a little while. And when I'll probably do a live stream about this because I find this topic really interesting, and I will trigger warn the heck out of it because like some people, like, it's just not healthy to hear this at all. I'm at a point where I'm fine. But when I lived in the UK, I was a UK 16, 18, which is a US 12, 14, I think, if I recall correctly. I never felt fat. People were like, I felt so normal there. That's why so when I lived in the UK, I was in my early 20s. I wanted to move to the UK because I felt so happy there. And I think a huge part of that was that I was treated like a person, like an attractive, worthy person, because the UK is a lot. And also you can see bigger, I don't even like calling them bigger people. They're normal sized people, but they're people who would be considered fat in Hollywood are on UK TV shows and in UK movies, and they're just normal bodies, and they're not cast type as like the fat friend. And like, I found it so much healthier for me living in the UK, and I was really bummed that I could not get a visa to stay. Yeah. And what's so funny is the weight I was when I lived there is kind of if I have a rough goal weight, is my college weight is my goal weight, because I was fine and there was nothing wrong with me. Because I'm a very tall person and I'm curvy. There are things I can't change about my body, so why bother? Anyway, maybe I shouldn't talk about body stuff so much, because I know it can be really, really triggering for people. And I respect that, because I did go on a journey. I didn't talk about my weight. I didn't weigh myself. I avoided stuff like this for a very long time. And I can't food track. Anything that's like kind of obsessive about numbers and stuff is not great for me. I turn into a crazy person. When you gamify things, I'm very competitive. I also can't play certain games because I get so psychotic. I really like winning. I'm not good to play games with other people. Don't play Mario Kart with me. I'm a little crazy. Same thing with gamifying weight loss. Can't do it. In relation to what you just said, have you thought about how younger authors will be able to gain this sort of confidence from the public? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to be really, really rough. It's going to be really hard. Do I know how if the gutting of DEI has affected trad pub? No, I haven't kept up on that as much. I can guess. It has affected my industry, and it's not good. And I don't want to get into the weeds and like actually talk about my job, but trust me, day and date, day after inauguration, I saw effects, and I hope trad pub is slightly inoculated, but I worry it's not. It's not great. I'm worried. I'm definitely worried. I can't talk about like my head's been so like in my own corporate world. Like I can't talk about some of the changes that have happened, because like I don't want to get in trouble with my day job, but if there are any like actual publishing people who can speak to it, like I would not be surprised if there have been like demonstrable changes. I just haven't been like in the weeds as much as I used to be. I've really been putting my head down, guys, and just writing books, which is a real novelty for me. And I can imagine it's not great. Have you read any Emily Henry? I'm an awful person. I have not. She is on my list because I have to, because she would be I've been told a comp for me. So wait, let's talk about writing. Let's talk about writing. Let's talk about writing romance. I'm going to use that as a transition. Normally, I did something very different with this book. Normally, I would psychotically ingest a ton in genre that I'm knowing that I'm moving into. So like before I wrote thrillers, I read a ton of them to kind of adjust to the tone. And I already read them for fun, but I pointedly read a bunch of them. I did not do that for romance, because I was actually worried that if I picked up what I was pretty sure would be my comps, that I would ape them too closely, which is also a risk. And in fairness, when I'm writing thrillers, I tend to mostly read nonfiction. Like I tend to read out of genre on purpose. So now that I'm basically done I'm starting my psychotic romance ingestion period now. So I have been reading, I've been upticking my romance reading recently while still reading thrillers, and just for pleasure and lots of fan fiction. So Emily Henry is on my list. My whole process with this romance was just a little like different and new. Like be nimble, I guess, and let yourself do different things. Let's see. I will jump around just because I see this question. Are there any DC ships other than Superbat that you've been interested in so far? I mean, anything with Jason Todd. I love Jason Todd. I love Tim Drake. I love Dick Grayson. The only one, like, I'm sorry, Damian. I'm probably the least interested in Damian. Maybe because Damian is still a literal child. I've come across a couple of fics that age him up, which is fine. But like, he's a kid. He's still a kid, Robin. And in fairness, I do want to give him like a shot. So I plan on reading his Batman and Robin run because I've also just heard it's good. But like Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, any permutation and ship. I love them. And like, honestly, the hardest part is I can't choose my favorite. Like I have actually like sat down and gone, who's your favorite Robin? And I can't choose. I cannot choose. And I can't even tell you my favorite ship among them all. Though there are certain ticks in the various ship dynamics that have some fanon things that drive me more crazy than others. Yeah, all the bats. I haven't read as much Superman adjacent stuff. Like I'm interested in Connor Kent and I'm interested in Superboy, but there's way less good fanfic about them, especially older fic, because this is all cyclical. I really have seen what I suspect is an uptick in fic since the summer, where it feels obvious to me more people are using ChatGPT, which has made it really, really challenging for me to find more recently written fic. But it could also be just an influx of people from the Superman movie. I don't know. I've just found so much fic that feels regurgitated and like repetitive. So I've mostly been reading, my like thing is like if fic was posted before 2023, I'm way more likely to read it. And there's way less Tim Con, way less like Connor Kent, like content that's older. Same thing with Damien. So I've mostly been reading. I have had more luck reading novel-length fic that is old because I know a human wrote it. Also, a lot of the older like stuff on AO3 is written by people who are comic book fans. And not to be hipster about it, I'm going to be mildly hipster about it. Even though in fairness, I got into DCU fanfic and I pretty quickly picked up comics because like I don't want to be someone who just watches movies and reads fic. I want to know who these characters actually are, though canon in comics is so interesting. And so I'm making my way through actual comics, and I can now tell when fic writers actually read the comics versus not. And I've become a hipster about it. So, let's see. UK shows do have more diversity overall. Yeah. Yeah. With less expected stereotypes. Yes. Don't know if this has been asked already. Anything you'd share on the adult romance book side of things? Oh yeah. I did say we'd talk about writing. We jump around. Hold on, let me just read through. Jenna Levine, I'll check it out. I do like Rex. The Bitter End would make for an amazing one-season Apple TV show. Yes, I would like anything to be adapted. I'll take literally anything. But here's my thing about The Bitter End. Hudson Williams is literally perfect to play Liam. And that has been living in my head for the last month. I'm like, would it be weird if I asked my film agent to send the book to him? Because literally he could play Liam, who is a tall, half Korean, half Australian, but like whose mother is a supermodel, like, and he's hot and tall. I'm like, Hudson Williams, call me. And I think Connor could also play a more thankless role, but I think he could also be in it. But anyway, yes. I mean, I will literally, my dream is to have anything of mine adapted. Please, dear God, please, would love. which can, with my romance novel, I'm also like, there are people I want my film agent to send it to. Though what makes me so sad, I love TV. I love movies too. Romance novels are usually features. I was like, oh, but I want a TV show. And I've pointedly moved to a genre that it's like features. I don't know. Features are like harder to get made too in a lot of ways. Okay, so romance books and asking in the chat about my agent situation. Yes, I can talk about this stuff. Let's see. Let me just catch up. Just like brief with the AI, photography and physical audio is the value of them has improved because everything is easy to fake. Saving my film camera for something like this. Yeah, I am sad. I don't know. I had like an old school Canon camera, like a real one, and it's probably in a box in storage because it was in my mom's place and that all got boxed up by not me. My aunt did all the packing after my mom died because I didn't live on the East Coast. Long story short, I'm like, oh, I need that. But physical media, I exclusively like. I'm very into physical media. Yes, and so like you also love fanon, but you're specific about what aspects of it you like because you're a comic fan. Yes, like when I realized that I think Tim Drake has actually been done the worst by fanon and Jason to a degree. The whole like there's certain fanonisms with Tim that drive me a little crazy, especially so one of the first comics I picked up on purpose because I like Tim Drake and I was reading a lot of Tim Drake fanfic. Like I started reading a lot of Tim Jason, which I do like as a ship. And I read his actual origin comic. That was one of the first ones I picked up. And I was like, yeah, where did all this fanon shit come from? He doesn't mainline coffee. And all these things about Tim. Tim's like the fandom bicycle in the sense that it's like you can make Tim anything, I feel. And some fics make him some weird things. And same thing with Jason. Like there are definitely liberties taken with Jason. Though also Jason in comics fandom is very uneven. I mean, I have feelings about that too. So I also think I would love Roy Harper, and I've heard such mixed things about the Outlaws, Red Hood and the Outlaws, but I kind of want to read it because they're both in it. Anyway, though the first DC fic I ever read did Roy so dirty, and having read other Roy stuff now, I'm like, oh, that fanfic was weirdly anti-Roy, and it gave me a really weird perspective on him. We're so in the weeds. Hudson for Liam, yes, now you can't unsee it. Like, right? Really good role for him anyway. Books. So I also thought that with the success of HR, the possibility of more romance shows versus features, and I've had my ear to the ground because I do know people who work in the industry, and I haven't heard of there being like a huge shift toward TV, but I'm still listening because, and in fairness to the adult romance I wrote, we can talk about it. It would be better for a feature, even though I would like it to be a TV show, and I just have to accept that. If you ever come, I would love to go literally anywhere. I'll go to Argentina. I would love to travel at all, let alone for my books. Let's see. Drafting by hand is going to be the evidence of my book is not AI. Oh God, I can't draft by hand. Don't make me. But I think that we're going to have a lot more like, tracking tool kind of stuff. Like you can measure keystrokes and you can kind of like look at certain things and like, yeah, I think that it's going to be really interesting. We're going to have basically like guardrails put in place. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it evolves. Yeah, Tim is really interesting. So I read you're like, she jumps around. I will say his intro comic is so aggressively 90s with the way that it does race. I was like, oh, I forgot about this era of life. Just like some of the choices that they made with the comic depiction and like how he learns martial arts and everything. I was like, oh, and just the way that his parents, his mom dies. I was like, this is so 90s cultural representation. I feel a little weird, but that's just kind of how it goes, I suppose. Nothing's ever perfect and everything is always evolving, but it felt deeply 90s. Jane Tim is such a good ship. So that's what I'm actually currently reading, and that's another canon thing. I was trying to track down the origin of the throat slashing canon, like the Jason Tim origin, and I have what is allegedly the Teen Titans where that happens, except I've heard that it's not, that fandom has exaggerated it, but I want to read the comic, so we'll see. Let's see. Yeah, and so I also know about the New 52 drama, which is also, I've mostly read pre-New 52, but I also know there's a New 52 and varying opinions. When I go into something, I go deep, okay? For better, for worse. Which is why, like, I didn't let myself do this for a long time, because it's like, no, you have to write books. You can't be in a fandom. And now I can do both, that has been a revelation of the last year, that I was able to simultaneously be in 911 and DCU fandom and write a novel. It's a new me, guys. So exciting. Romance books are slowly having a TV instead of movie. I mean, I would genuinely like that, because I think you can do more with a limited series. Plus, I just love TV, and it's a little easier to get things greenlit for TV in the space. And so I love rom-com movies, and I actually like name check a lot of them. It's one of those romance novels where the characters also love rom-coms, because I love rom-coms. But like, I like the classic era of mid-budget rom-com movies, and Hollywood really doesn't make them anymore, and that makes me sad. And like, it's such a double-edged sword, like the direct-to-streaming model. A lot of them are still made by studios, so they feel like real movies, but like, they still don't, a movie doesn't feel like as much of a movie to me if I'm not having a theater experience. And so I'm very, anyway, long story short. Yeah, and he and Jason did know each other before Jason's death. Anyway, comics. Okay, top 5 AO3 tags for Jason Todd centered fics. Don't have to be the ones that use it all. Oh gosh, if we're getting into AO3 tags, that should be like a live stream after dark situation if we're actually going to talk about fan fiction. I mean, even I guess talking about my romance novel is also like, if anyone here is a minor, I mean, they're different kinds of romance novels. It's smutty. So it's been interesting. It's going to be really interesting with my YA brand versus my whatever my adult brand is going to be. It's an adult. It's adult. It's adult fiction, y'all. It is 100% adult fiction, this novel I wrote, which is freeing in its own way. So, adult romance novel. Do you have any specific questions? We can kind of go with that. And there was a question up there about agent. I do have a new literary agent, and I briefly mentioned it on Instagram. I didn't mention it in my video because I don't want it to turn into a whole thing. Just like I will talk more about it later, partly just from a professionalism perspective, because there was no drama. Nothing crazy happened. It is actually it was a very normal thing. It is a very normal thing. And I'll talk about it in depth in that context in a little bit here. Like, I'm a mid-career author. I'm a mid-career author trying to make a big change, like a big transition to a completely new category. And I just like, I need something very specific in this phase of my career, and that's where I landed. And it's also just kind of like changing like genre and like taste. Like, this is a really dirty book, guys. This is a really dirty book, and I was like, it's not that dirty. I mean, it's not smut on the level of romantasy. It actually is kind of a slow burn, but like, it is very like, it's going to be a new brand. And I was like, I need an agent who's really, this is their thing. Yeah. So it was just very like a very normal transition. And so I am with Faye Bender at the book group. Like I want to be in that upmarket commercial adult book club space. And I want to make a splash in adult. We'll see. I'll hopefully be on sub in a couple of weeks. I still have to send my book to my new agent. I'm kind of done with editing, but I have a few beta readers reading it right now. Because it's like, presumably she'll read it and then it'll go on sub. I don't think we're going to do another round of editing. And I'm in that kind of perfectionist space of like, I cut like 25,000 words. And part of that was like, I don't want anything to stand in the way of this book that I could prevent it from having that problem. And the word count was one of those problems, like polishing it as much as possible because I'm putting a new foot forward. It's why I like have to write a full manuscript. This isn't something that I would sell on proposal. And that was also a thing with thriller, just like moving into a new space, and thrillers are very hard to write. And I got really stalled on writing a full manuscript of a thriller. And this just poured out of me. I was like, I'm going with the thing that I was able to write in full. Juanita's Creative Corner. Am I a hybrid author now? Do you mean hybrid in terms of indie publishing or genre? If you mean the indie publishing one, no. Unless something catastrophic happens, I do not plan on indie publishing at this juncture. I am still not a fast enough writer, but trust me, I have been testing myself. I wrote a lot of words last year, and I was like, maybe I could get to a point where I could be speedy enough and nimble enough to do something like that. And just briefly, I am not familiar with the Age of Scorpius thing. I had a couple people ask me. I am so off and out of spaces where I really don't know much about that. And my life has such a peace to it now that I don't really keep up with things. Pros and cons. But one pro is that, I don't know, my life's kind of quiet and I just buddy fandom 2026. So I don't really know about that. Like being, I know the surface level stuff. D'Angelo did a live stream on it the other day, and I learned some things on D'Angelo's live stream. I was like, what's happening? I know top line, not enough to actually talk about it. I mean, enough to have like one or two opinions, but not to like go in depth. And like nothing that would surprise anyone. Look at my channel. Object lesson in, I believe in taking your time and being very circumspect before sharing anything publicly. I'm a very cautious person, though. I chose the slow boat route. Trad is so slow, but like that slowness sometimes drives me crazy. But also, I'm a naturally anxious person who would rather have like 8 people go over my work a million times to get it out there as polished as possible, because I inherently believe that what I write is garbage and needs to be fixed. Like I have healthy imposter syndrome, basically, and a little bit of perfectionism. Let's see. All right, yeah. Marsh the Bonnet. I feel like we're definitely gonna like have side chats about DCU because I'm all in. Let's see. Yeah, us wanting more romance books adapted into series doesn't mean we want less romance movies to be made. And that's the thing. I want more romance series, but I just want big studio, mid-budget rom-coms back. I am still an avid theater goer. I have AMC A-list. I support cinema. I mean, I work in the industry. I love this industry. I don't work on that side of the industry, but I love this industry. I have gone to see in the theater every mid-budget rom-com since theaters reopened since COVID, because I want the butts in seats. I saw, I didn't love Anyone But You, but I saw it in the theater. I liked No Hard Feelings. I saw that in the theater. Also just mid-budget comedies. Joyride was great. And in fact, so I saw that for free at work through, like, we had an employee screening. I don't think I work at the studio I literally don't know, but I'm part of I've mentioned this on Instagram. It is a little funny. I'm part of the Asian Pacific American group at my company, because all are welcome. And we had a screening for Joyride, which was a delightful comedy. I really enjoyed it. Like we also had a screening for Crazy Rich Asians years ago, which is not made by our company. We support movies. I went and saw that again so that I was a paid button seat for that movie. There are a ton of them. Like I go see mid-budget comedies because I want to support them. I want more of them to be made. It's me. I'm the one going to the AMC, and I always buy popcorn and a drink to support the economy, but also because I am incapable of going to a movie theater and not eating popcorn. It's like a Pavlov's thing. Even though like I can't eat it all, and it's overpriced and it makes me sick, but I need it. Whole other thing. Is anyone else an AMC A-lister? Because I love going to the movies. Let me scroll. You're in for whatever the opposite of a treat is when you catch up on the Age of Scorpius drama. Yeah, I got that sense. Even like the top line made me incredibly stressed out. I don't enjoy watching other people suffer, even if they suffer for their own mistakes. I'm deeply uncomfortable with it because it's like an empathy bomb problem. I get really upset worrying for other people. Yeah. So it's like the disease of like being interested in drama and also getting really upset by it. I suffer from secondhand embarrassment. So there are certain things I can't even watch, including like media stuff where I'm like, no, that's too cringe. Like viral videos and stuff is like, I cannot watch someone else do something that I find cringe. I get really squirmy and uncomfortable. Yeah, like seriously, Marsh the Bunny, you can message me on Instagram and we will talk about DCU. I'm that deep. Let's see. We might have our opinion going into your tribe, but I'm super, super glad you're in the position to at least have been backed by a tribe publisher to take your time. Loved all 3 murders. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I would publish. I've always had a deep back plan of like that I would indie publish romance specifically. This book is just very trad brained, but yeah, if I can get better at writing them quickly, that is still on a burner that I have. And it's actually closer to the front burner than it ever has been. Because you can do things in the indie space, publishing romance specifically, that it's built for it. It's built for it. Let's see. So I am in fact a slightly bad person. I did not see Materialists in theaters because I was writing this book. So I do go in ebbs and flows. When I am actively drafting, my poor A-list gets ignored. I go in cycles on A-list. So I'm in California, so it's $25 a month. It might even be $25.99 a month now. It might be $26 a month. We're one of the most expensive markets for A-list. But to make it worth it, I only have to see 14 to 15 movies a year, less if I do premium formats. And what I don't see a movie a month, even though it charges me every single month, I will basically not go. And then I will see 3 or 4 movies in a single month in premium formats to basically get the value out of my A-list. So there are actually a couple of fall movies I also missed because I was editing this book. So I kind of ebb and flow with my movie going. Let's see. Like, to give you an idea, with A-list, I saw Oppenheimer 4 times, premium formats. I saw it in 70mm IMAX, and I have no regrets. I also saw it just in 70mm, which was actually my favorite. I liked it even more than the IMAX because you could see the film grain because they had a 70mm projector. Oh, it was beautiful. I am so spoiled living where I live because people take movies so seriously here. We have some really nice theaters. I understand Christopher Nolan's hipsterism about movie formats in theaters. Like I subscribe to that. Yeah, we're pretty annoying here. I know that there were questions about going to a theater without at least buying popcorn feels sacrilegious to me. Exactly. Plus, like, I also understand how the model works. So the thing is, theaters movie ticket prices are out of control, but they're out of control actually because of the studios. Movie theaters make their money off of concessions. And so I also understand the economics of it. And I want movie theaters to be healthy and stay in business. So, and honestly, A-list really is a deal if you see movies with any frequency. And so I like economically, I still spend less with A-list and volume viewing and then getting concessions than I did before, because movie tickets are so expensive in LA that A-list really does make sense if you see like what it ultimately is not that like seeing 14 movies a year, and like it can be 12 or 13 if you see IMAX and 3D formats, which I usually do. It's a steal. And because those formats are so expensive for normal people, I actually have better luck getting tickets to those last minute. Like sometimes I'll just be like, if it's a Friday, I'll just be like, like we get summer Fridays, I'll be like, I'm going to go see a movie this afternoon. And I'll just log on 4 p.m. screening. Because I'm going as a solo person too, I can often get pretty good reclining seats in the IMAX screenings last minute for big movies. So that's what I usually do. Though I actually don't like 3D format. If I have to, I will see them, but I don't like them. The glasses on my glasses are terrible. I'm not a fan. So like Under Duress, I saw Fantastic Four in 3D. Well, didn't want to. Oh no, or was it Superman? I saw one of those movies in 3D, Under Duress, and then there must have been Superman because I saw it again without it and I prefer that. I have not seen the new Avatar movie. I'm an Avatar hater. I'm so sorry. I just don't get it. I'm not a fan of those movies, even though I've liked some of James Cameron's movies in the past. They do nothing for me. I let other people go see those movies, and I'm pleased for the leaps forward in movie technology that they have given us, but I am not a blue people person. All right, hold on. Romance questions. There were romance questions. I'm going to catch up. It's fine. If try doesn't work out for the adult romance, you can make the romantic interest a humanoid moth and indie side. Honestly, if Trad doesn't eat it up, I can publish it as is, and it would be great. I as a fun side project over the summer to get myself hyped for it, and also in case anyone wanted it, because I heard some people do now. I made a pitch deck for it. I made a fake cover in Canva, and it's real cute. It's like real cute. I've showed it to some people too. They're like, "That's a really good cover." I'm like, "Thank you." So I totally could. And I've done all of this work on it that it's super polished. I could absolutely self-publish it tomorrow and it'd be fine. Because I've edited, I've probably edited this more than I edited any other book for sub, ever. Just like going over it and fine-tuning. Hold on, I prompted you for romance questions and you did ask them, and then the chat got all over the place. Let's see. And it's my fault. Hold on. I'm catching up. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, so I also haven't read Allie Hazelwood books, which is hilarious because I'm friends with Allie. Like I can sit, like we're friendly. Like we have talked one-on-one, and I adore her. And all of her books are very much my vibe. So she is in my, like, I have like a list. It's all the names you can think of books where I know I'm going to love them. And I'm just going to like binge read them. I just have been so fandom brained recently that I'm mostly reading fan fiction. So we're going to wait for a window. And then I promise you, I'm just going to read all of them. In quick succession. Casey McQuiston. Like there's so many books I want to read where you're like, wow, you haven't read those. I read nothing but thrillers and nonfiction for like 7 years. So, I mean, you're on this channel, you know what I was reading. So I have a lot of books to read. Did you have to query completely, or was it a simpler transition? So questions about like romance writing and the new book, we'll go through them. Querying when you've already been published is a little different while also being the same, but different. And it was really weird. It was strange. I had imposter syndrome just querying. Because you can and can't break the rules. It's like this, it's a case-by-case basis. I did not query with a complete book because you can do that if you are already multi-published. Now, it's always better. It does technically behoove you to query with a complete book. The more you can query with, the better. That's polished. But I have helped people query for new agents who are established authors, and I literally pulled up the queries I helped them write to write mine. You're pitching yourself more than you are pitching a specific book, though you are often pitching a specific book. You're pitching your career. You are pitching where you are in your career. You're pitching kind of what you look like already and what it's going to look like going forward. So I also like strategically, I did mostly referrals and I only reached out to 5 people, partly because I was querying an incomplete book. And I was like, well, if this is a mistake, it could have been a mistake, guys. I know people who have queried without a complete book and it's worked. And I know people who have done that and it has not worked. It can literally go either way. You don't know. So that was also, so I would have a healthy list of people to query if everyone was like, get out of here with your garbage partial, which could have happened. And imposter syndrome. I'm still kind of like, what? Someone signed me? Why? I queried with an unedited draft of this romance, living on the edge. You can do it different ways. I did decide on romance forward because I had 80,000 words of it. It was almost done, but not done. I had enough of it to feel confident of what the book was. Cause I'm still a plantser. Like I had a plan for the whole arc of the book, but I felt much more secure knowing I was almost in act 3 of what I actually had. In terms of what it was. And theoretically, I probably could have queried with less, but I was on a roll. I basically drafted 80K in like a fugue state. I just went hard. And then I kind of like hit a pause moment and then reassessed. I didn't want to query while I was going on this new draft. So I started with referrals. I did referrals. They're easier. And also when you're doing referrals, there's a little less pressure of like perfectly pitching one single book. Though I did some traditional queries where it's like, what do you mean I have to write a pitch? Oh, how dare you? I don't want to write a synopsis. It's like, if you know when you're querying, I just didn't reach out to people who wanted a synopsis because I didn't want to write one. That old chestnut. So I hate how the lighting is changing. It's annoying. I have to wait for it to balance. Like, I feel like the lighting is like suddenly not good because I'm like poorly backlit. Things that bother me. I pitched this. I had a paragraph on the romance. I had an intro paragraph about who I was. I just had a one-liner about my outstanding YA option. And a note that I wasn't focusing on that at this moment, and my editor is fine with it. It's true. I was basically like saying like, I'm moving out of YA. Then I pitched my adult romance. And then I did do a paragraph pitching the adult thriller that I have less of, but that was the most developed as like, I also have this, but I'd like to focus on the romance, but just so you know what I have and that I plan to straddle both. I want to do romance and thriller, adult romance and thriller for the foreseeable future. And yeah, so it and then from there, yeah, it was just like normal querying, from there. Let's see, but it was a relatively simple transition in the sense of like, and like this can help other mid-career authors, useless to anyone else querying. And like, I have to like disclaim that like nothing, how it was for me doesn't help anyone who isn't in a very similar situation. Cause like it's a different ball game when you're querying as someone who has an established catalog of published books. And then it's going to be very down to your individual sales track as well as what you are pitching. My romance pitch is very commercial. And I also, the other reason I didn't, I waited till I had 80,000 words. I waited until I had 80,000 words and a better idea on how to open the book. And I didn't query until I had a stronger first chapter. Like my vomit first chapter was fine, but I knew it could be better. And so I wrote a stronger one before I reached out to anyone to have like a best foot forward. Will you publish under a different pen name or will you stick with Alexa Donne? I plan to stick with Alexa Donne unless a publisher is like, do another name. I think because my YAs were upper YAs and also the value of a brand right now with the whole AI thing and everything, I assume they're going to want, I can stay the same, but I'm open. I'm genuinely open because marketing. Also because like it is an adult romance that has sex in it. Like but it's not smut. And that's not a pejorative. I would write some, but this isn't. It has a whole plot, a whole arc. It is a novel. And if I wrote more that, I think it'd make more sense to go pen name. And I wouldn't have a problem with that for like, yeah. Let's see. Adult romance cues. What's the heroine or hero don't want to assume like, and what did the romantic interest have in them to make them go crazy about them? So it's dual POV. So it's, which is another reason it's really long. It's basically Grumpy Sunshine. It's Black Cat, Golden Retriever. She is the Black Cat. He is the Golden Retriever. If you watch 911, partly because he is definitely buck coated, and that was intentional, I was like, I want to write a Golden Retriever love interest because I love them. She's, I don't know, she's anxious and a little bit uptight and perfectionist, that kind of thing. And he's just like go with the flow and chill. But they are both, because themes, romance themes, arcs, they're both very lonely people who are, even though he's very chill, he's actually standoffish in his own way. Like they both have like barriers and like walls up, and he really likes that she actually cares about him as a person, which is because it's an escort romance. Like he's accustomed to doing things for other people, and rarely if ever do people do things for him, and so they have like, but also like it goes both ways. Like that's what he likes in her, and I mean she likes a lot of things about him, that he's chill, for example. It's a whole thing. Anyway, let's see. I don't know how much I should share. Let's see. Oh, well, this is just a writing question. I've been writing a book for many years, changed genre 3 times, can't seem to finish it. Any advice on that? It's really hard. My bog standard stuff would be it. I don't know what's getting in your way. Like it's different for all of us. For me, when I was stuck in that cycle, it was the wrong book idea a couple of times, but it was also perfectionism. So like going over things over and over again, forcing myself through helped. But also I had to switch what book I was writing until one worked. Sometimes it is the idea you're working on, and it doesn't mean forever though. Like there are some things I was noodling on that I just couldn't write that I plan to come back to. So it might just be a not now. You might need something that your brain is just sparking on more, that is more propulsive, or maybe something that just has a clearer end. Like I find it helpful when I know I mean, I need to know what happens in Act 3 to write something. Otherwise I will get lost in Act 2 and just never finish. It's hard to say without specific info. All right, I'm way back in chat because I'm trying to catch up on this. Sorry. For a while, it was paranormal, then dystopian, then thriller, romantic, etc. Do you think there's a genre du jour? Horror continues to be on the rise, and I've actually heard rumblings of like horror romance, which I find very intriguing. And I think romantasy is going to keep going strong for a while. I mean, I overwhelmingly, like with the fic, and obviously my writing interest changing. We're in an escapist era right now. Which I think would also explain some of the horror. Some like when you need an escape, some people go to horror, a lot of people go to romance. I think we're going to see more romance, more cozy. I mean, back to 911. I think one of the reasons, 911 spoiler, I mean, I guess I'll be a little vague. There was such a backlash against a character death in the last season. I think people really need cozy right now. Now that said, I loved it. I loved everything about it. I like my TV shows to have conflict. I do like cozy, but I actually don't like too much cozy. I still need things to have like texture and conflict. But I've also seen a rise in fandom culture that has also led to some problems of like, well, first Puritanism in fandom cultures that's been concerning, but also like people militantly wanting cozy fluff and being like really mad at things that aren't. So I think that we'll see the same thing. I think people are going to want like fluffy, just escapist, light fiction, and then other people will want heavy, hardcore fiction, and there'll probably be very little in between. That's my thought. I don't know if that's genre specific. Yeah, that I haven't kept my ear to the ground as closely as maybe I should have, because I've just been kind of hyper focusing on my own stuff, but that's enabled me to write more. So pros and cons of like keeping your ear to the ground. All right, hold on. The chat just jumped forward. The drama with the guy pretending to be a lesbian for clout. Lord, I guess I'm glad I missed that. Okay. Huh. All right. Yeah. Wow. Huh. Wow. Y'all. Pros and cons of missing things. I'm clearly still catching up and I'm still kind of behind. In the process of outlining my first novel, and as someone who works in publishing, I feel I'm almost too in the know and psyching myself out and second guessing instincts. Yeah, I feel that. Not because I work in the industry, but like it's like you can be too story brained and like how the sausage is made brained with craft and everything. I don't have great advice other than I'm definitely we curse on this channel. I'm a fuck it girl. Just do it anyway. Even if you're not sure, just do what you want and deal with the consequences later. You can always change it later. Lean in. I don't know if that helps. I'm writing a thriller, but I'm worried they're not buying debut authors in the genre the same way. Per our other earlier conversations, I do think that's a semi-legitimate worry, but I also think, or at least I've noticed as a reader, I feel like a lot of the established thriller writer brands just aren't hitting the way they used to. Like I've been disappointed with a couple of books. So I think inevitably that creates new space for exciting debut voices. It can always go both ways. And I would hope that that would open up space, like especially if you can write something really tight and really competent and really fresh. I think editors will be looking for that. I hope if I someday ever write another one, finish another one, I'm just so behind. Writing advice question. How do you grapple with emotional scenes in your story? How do you choose a difficult choice in a story? That's a great question. I've always suffered from a propensity for melodrama. Thank you, fandom. Thank you, fanfic, soap operas, which I love. So over time, I've trained myself out of the worst impulses of my melodrama, but I still lean melodrama, but now it's tempered melodrama. But that was a process. So my advice is to write what you want to write, but be aware if you are melodramatic in your style and that editing is your friend. What I did, especially in the beginning, when I became aware of my propensity for melodrama, especially like unearned, and what I mean by this is, and I talked about it in my old fanfic video, emotional scenes can be so fun to write, and it can be that instinct to go over the top. It's so fun though sometimes. Like you want to get that one liner in, or you want to have like a dramatic beat. But often they can be unearned. They can feel like whiplash, like emotional whiplash, because they can just basically tonally not jibe with what else you have, which is partly like an amateur thing. And sometimes sometimes it's just not going to fit into the tone of your book. Well, you can do two things. You can adjust the tone of your book so that it fits, but then you might sometimes rub up against genre issues or commercial issues, or you can tone down the melodrama, or both, combo both. And in my early days, when I was trying to correct my propensity toward fan fiction writing, I say that with love, I threw out a lot of those scenes. Like I'd write them and then I'd rewrite them. I would think about, like, I might keep a line or two, but I would rewrite them to have more balanced tone, to earn the big moments, to come into those scenes and come out of them. I would, and I did also learn to adjust around it and to understand the balance of tone and tension to earn big emotional scenes. It's a lot of time character work to earn some big emotional scenes. Like it has to make sense for the character. That's part of it. And sometimes it's just sacrificing something. Like you're like, yeah, this just isn't going to work. It's not working. But over time you get better at it. And then there's also just accepting like who you are. I can write big, emotional, ridiculous scenes and people either love or hate them. I enjoy writing them. Not going to change. I've chased the genres where my propensities can be appreciated a bit more. And choosing a difficult choice in a story. Similar thing. On a first draft, do what feels right or natural or what feels safe, bearing in mind that safe is not, sometimes safe is good, but sometimes safe is bad, and just be fearless in editing. It's often in editing where I will go, you played it safe with this character, you're a little too attached to them, etc., make the hard choice, and then I fix it in editing. And over time, as you become accustomed to this, you'll do it in first drafts. I'm brutal now. I'm so mean to my characters. Like, honestly, I enjoy putting them through the horrors now. So like, but you do have to get used to it. And to the melodrama point, part of this is also realizing, am I doing this just for drama? Because often that's not the right choice. It kind of, although sometimes it is. Like in a thriller, sometimes you gotta kill people. Does that advice help? It's kind of imperfect, but like that's kind of been my journey now. Like, you know, things I struggled with now that are just easier now because it's practice. You kind of get used to it. I remember you put out a video about what to ask a potential agent. Can you talk about or create a new video about what has changed since then? I think that was pre-COVID. I have a blog post, like on my website, one of the few things on my website, that I did. I'm pretty sure I posted it maybe in 2020, maybe 2021. And people still reference that. And that is still pretty accurate to what I would recommend. A lot of things haven't changed in terms of questions you should ask. I can circle around to it and figure out if there's something new to make about it. I'm also just not as ear to the ground on querying anymore. Like I never want to be the person who is taking up space just to take up space. And like when I started giving publishing and writing advice, it was with respect and homage to the people who had inspired me, but whose industry experience was no longer necessarily reflective of what was helpful to me. And I wanted to put out information that would be helpful to like the next generation of writers. And I think I have gotten to a point where my experience is irrelevant to most current, not completely, but a lot of my specific experience is less relevant to people now. And so I passed the baton to people who are currently querying and kind of their experience and expertise. The universal things will always be accurate, but that I kind of bear that in mind. I like to be helpful, but I never want to assume that I am the number one authority on something, especially as like, you know, it's just there are things that are hard now that weren't hard for me coming into publishing. And the things that were hard for me coming into publishing weren't hard for people who published 6 years before I did. And it's kind of like a continuum. And like my debut experience is borderline irrelevant to people's debut experience now. Like some of the things that people have to deal with. And I know that truly, I know that I still have things to say that can be helpful, but like, I always try to bear that in mind. I know I try not to be too ego forward, ego first. I don't know if that's helpful. I hope there are some great new resources putting out this information, even if I'm not. But I can be then hopefully helpful I have mid-career experience now that I didn't have before and fresh perspective that is maybe helpful or will be helpful to people in the future. Or new genre experience. Oh yeah, if you're not previously published, you have to have a full to query, no question. Except in rare, like if you have a platform, if you're a celebrity, or like an influencer, the rules are always going to be different for you. Adult romance Q. What would you describe the hook that drives them in a couple together? No spoilers. Like what drives them? I did kind of loneliness. It's definitely kind of a rumination on because they're older characters too. I find, I said it in my video, like I find people who are older and have baggage essentially interesting, and kind of like the barriers that we put up, especially in modern romance, when things are so overwhelming, it's really hard to forge genuine human connections. And like I wanted to kind of explore these two people who have very different hangups, but that are also technically similar hangups. So, and how to get them together. Oh God, with all the fanfic you've been reading, it'd be a fun subversion to do a reading wrap up of your favorites. I am not going to tell on myself on main. I read under an alt. I private the most shameful bookmarks. that I have. There are things we don't talk about on main, y'all. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I could talk about teening up, but I don't think I'm going to share some of my other recs on main. Necessarily. I still live, I came up in an era where we didn't break the fourth wall, and we didn't, like, the mere fact that I'm admitting to any of you that I read Slash is a huge accomplishment for me. Okay, we've come a long way. Teen me could never. That was a deep dark secret. No one knew I liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I kept that a secret because that was nerdy and weird. Oh, for funsies, which Mario Kart Racer would you play the most as? I'm so basic. I would do Peach. I would do the girly one, or Luigi. I always like Luigi. I think because of the colors, I like green. But now, girl, I would just pick the princess girl car, which is not terribly strategic, honestly. Let's see. We're talking about fic summaries. I do like doing the quote, and then I like doing the or, like the TLDR. I enjoy that as well. And as a reader, I usually skip the long summaries and I go to the whatever the TLDR is. I want a short pitch. Tell me what this is. And accurate tagging. I hate it when people don't accurately or well tag their fics, but I also don't like over tagging. I have opinions. But I like accurate tagging because I actually know how to use the search function. A lot of people don't. I was like, filters exist for a reason, fam, so that you can find what you want to read. Let's see. Yeah, Grumpy X Sunshine. I think I'm just gonna write that over and over again. The next one I'm working on is a very similar dynamic because I think that's good, like, conflict, and as a persnickety anxious person, like, I relate to it. Let's see. Talking about synopses. Oh, the chat jumped forward. So the problem with scrolling and like talking without scrolling, I get lost and behind, and you just hear me talking into the void. Come on, synopses. Oh, you lost 30K of a book you were writing? That hurts me. Yeah, I psychotically back up. So I know this doesn't save you in hindsight. So even though I write in Scrivener, I actually don't even have Scrivener on auto backup. I know I should, but I compile what I'm working on constantly and I upload it to Google Drive, like, constantly. Also because I work between two different machines, but that has made me very good at backups because that is so terrible. I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's my nightmare. It's my nightmare and my nightmare. Any tips for getting out of your own way and getting drafting? You have an outline. It's the getting going that feels impossible. So it's my old chestnut. And you make it work for you however you do, because, like, it's hard for different people with schedules. You need a schedule. You got to create a writing habit, whatever that looks like for you. I don't have to be as harsh with myself now because I've developed the muscle, but like my old advice from the beginning of this channel remains true. It's what created that in me. Writing every day, not every day, but like when I'm actively drafting, writing every day was the thing for me. I couldn't lose momentum. And word count trackers with the star stickers really helped me. And creating rituals really helped me, both time rituals and literal rituals. Like, it was, I had to write at night because of my particular schedule. For a lot of people, it's working in the morning. For some other people, it's like their lunch hour. Like, you gotta find a time on as many days as possible that works with your schedule. And you're writing your novel for your kids. So you're a parent. It's gonna be trickier when you are a parent. Like, that automatically, like, you're on hard mode. In a way that I have not been because I don't have kids, but I know it's harder for parents. You have to carve out where you can and formatting that you can. Like, if you really do a short burst, I know people who write on their phone and into Google Docs. Other people I know will handwrite because they can have a journal with them. Like, you have to figure out what that is for you, your mechanism, and a time, and then create rituals around it and then be consistent. It's really hard. And then the other thing is, honestly, social sacrifices, and you're going to need the people around you to understand. In your case, since you have a family, you could be a single parent, but if you are partnered, it's having a conversation with them. They have to help you create space to write. With single people, and also with people who have families, social sacrifices for sure. I just can't do things on the weekends, like non-writing things on the weekends with people. There are people I see less because I have to spend a huge chunk of my year spending every single weekend writing 4 to 5 hours, Saturday and Sunday, because those are some of my best windows. You have to kind of create those spaces and pockets, and then just do it and be mean to yourself and write when you don't feel like it until you get used to it. And turn that into a muscle. Like, now I don't have to do all of those things. Like, I've gotten better at higher word counts during my weekend sessions, which has taken a lot of pressure off of my weekday writing and everyday writing needs compared to the beginning. But like, that evolved over years and multiple books. I'm still not like perfect. I'm still evolving. But that's my advice for like really getting the thing done. You kind of have to you got to treat it like a job, which I know is such a cliche. But it's also not a job because they're not paying me for it. And it's a lot of labor, and some suffering. And like some of the rituals I had, like, y'all watched my channel back in the day. I would allow myself a glass of wine while I wrote, and I had cookies. Luckily, I don't do any of that anymore because that was a lot of empty calories, not good for my liver or my kidneys. And I'm glad I don't need any of those Pavlovian things to motivate myself to write. But rituals that you create in the beginning can really help. Music, etc. Let's see. Scrolling, catching up on. What's your best advice for self-editing, developmental editing one's book? You finished your book 3 months ago and you're a bit unsure about how to make progress in editing. This is a great question. Also a process that you have to learn over many years. I'm in the beginning stages. As you get used to it, I still use I love having other opinions on my work. But I technically don't need them in the same way that I used to. I can know what's wrong with a book and I can know how I want to fix it. That developed over years. In the beginning, you need other people to read your book, and you need other people to read your book. You need to step outside yourself. Distance is good though. It's actually good that it's been 3 months. That is a perfect amount of distance, in fact. But so the hard part is going to be finding qualified outside opinions to help you see the forest for the trees. And it usually can't be people who you know too well. It can't be people who love you. It can't even be normal readers. Like, one of my growing pains in my early years, and now I actually seek out these kinds of readers because I need something different. But in the early days, it was the growing pains of, I got some people to read my book, including people I knew, but they were cheerleader readers, or they read my book like a reader and just told me whether or not they enjoyed it. And whether they were lying or not, they always said they enjoyed it, but I didn't need that. Great. Doesn't help me. I had to find people who would actually have opinions and be able to articulate them in ways that were helpful to me. It's usually other writers. It's the critique partner thing. And I am glad my first and harshest critique I got on that early finished novel was from both a friend and a qualified critique partner. She was that perfect combo. If you follow me on Instagram, she was on my Thanksgiving cruise with me. We've been friends for 20 years. We were in fandom together. Like, we beta read for each other. She was the perfect person to deliver what I needed on that first ever book that I finished. Because I knew her well. I knew her writing. I liked her writing. I trusted her barometer and her quality. She's actually also the person who introduced me to YA fiction. So she's just the perfect person. And she knew how to be blunt with me with love. Like, I trusted her and I loved her, and she knew what she could and couldn't say to me. So when she told me my book was boring, she dragged me for filth. I needed to hear it from her. She was still able to tell me what she liked about it and what worked. But she was able to pinpoint and deliver the way I needed, that I had a pacing problem. Nothing happens for 2/3 of the book, was approximately what she said. She was correct. I got mad at first, of course, naturally, but I was able to kind of trust her that she loved me. And that said, there's still value in finding a stranger who's qualified to give you constructive criticism. Is often also better. It just so happened my first best delivery system was someone I knew, but that was the first step in my process of learning how to be brutal with myself. After that, on subsequent books, I was the first person to drag myself for pacing problems and inert scenes, etc. But I needed that first, because it was my first baby. I was so proud of it. I was so convinced I'd written a banger. And I did edit it into decent shape. That was my first book that got me an agent, but didn't sell. But she was correct. I threw out so much of that and rewrote wide swaths of it to give it much better pacing and conflict and stakes. But I needed that. So critique partners, that's definitely it. You need someone to help you see the forest for the trees and articulate it in a way that is going to be friendly, professional, constructive, and they'll talk to you like a writer will. She talked to me like a writer because she's a writer. And like, I recently repaid the favor. She finished her first novel a couple years ago, and I did a read for her of like the first chunk, and I gave her feedback in a way that I knew would work for her, because we've known each other for a very long time and I know how to talk to her, and I knew I pinpointed exactly what the issue was, and then she did a revision. And now we go on writing retreat cruises with each other. So like, yeah, critique partners for sure. It's hard though, but it's again, a muscle. I love editing. I love self-editing. I love dragging myself brutally and fixing problems, but you have to kind of develop that over time. And getting good at that is just such a good skill, because like, it's only going to get worse. It gets harder. And although, mind you, not, editors are nice. My editor was so nice, but like, when a professional points out a problem to you, like, there's no dicking around with it. You just have to figure it out and fix it. Or you're going to embarrass yourself. So now's the time to start. Thank you, Marsh the Bunny. I assume it's like Marsh the Bunny. That people who are closer to the same thing, to give advice, because the industry changes so fast, and I just like to be kind of aware of my own limitations, and not get too big of an ego. All right, hold on. So when you scroll, like, the chat will jump, and then I don't want to miss a thing. Have I watched anime? I have not. I never got into anime, which I know is a character flaw. So reading wrap up for fanfic on public accounts would be horrifying. Don't do that. Yeah, I just can't tell it myself. The things. That can be behind a paywall. I don't even think I don't need money that bad, y'all. I unfortunately have 3 jobs. I unintentionally ended up giving myself 3 jobs. So actually, I have 4 income streams, because I have dead mom money, which is not the kind of money I recommend. But I do not. That's why I've never started Patreon. I know I have the wherewithal to actually follow up and do the work that it requires, and I don't need the money. So that's also what's great about TradPub. They can't control me, because they can't make me dance like a puppet, because as much as I would like them to give me a lot of money, I technically don't need it, but they also really should pay me, please, just so that they'll promote my books. Yeah, when I was a teen, people didn't know what fanfic was. Exactly. I lived in a deep well of secret shame. Like, not like shame, but like, it was like fandom was the secret place. And now people just are open about it. But which leads to out of pocket shit, though. Like, can I just say, first of all, buddy fandom gets unhinged. And Hito rivalry fandom, control your shit. This shit with the actors is not okay. Attacking actors is not okay. Y'all need to learn from your elders how to behave in fandom, especially with actors. Jeez. Ugh. Horrified. Yep, you can't wait to get inspired to write. Exactly. And like, I know people have been like, Alexa Donne, she's so mean. Like, my harsh writing advice video, I still get hate comments on that all the time. I'm like, y'all, like, there's artifice in that video. I'm hamming it up, but you have to write. You have to write when you don't feel like it. Writers write. Why is this controversial? Honestly, I am so much nicer than anyone in the industry is typically. Like, if my harsh writing advice video is the meanest thing you've heard, you're not going to make it. Like, this industry, publishing exists to gaslight the shit out of you. Publishing isn't nice. And they usually don't care about your feelings. It's a business. It's a capitalist business. It's rough. Individuals are nice. Like, I have had some of the nicest editors in the business. Like, my editor, Elizabeth at Random House Children's, her notes are like a hug. She's so sweet. So sweet. Can't complain. She still drags me for filth. Nicely, though. Like, most people are really kind. Every publicist I've interacted with and marketing person, they're all lovely. But the industry itself is not built to be kind. Most capitalist industries aren't. All right, I see RIP Nano, and apparently it came back under new ownership. That's interesting, because that was definitely sad, everything that happened there. I also only tangentially caught all of that. How long does it take for me generally to outline, draft, etc., or does it differ each time? It differs each time, but it generally takes a long time. I'm not a short process girly, which makes this romance insane. This romance novel probably had the shortest trajectory from idea to finished novel, which has got me feeling a little excited about my ability to write romance. I'm like, can I change? Can a tiger change its stripes? I hope so, because my process on my other books, especially my thrillers, is excruciatingly long. Usually I'll have an idea. I'll nurse it for 18 months to 2 years. Then I'll really develop it. Like, it's in the background while I work on other things. Then I'll really develop it. And then writing it can take me anywhere from a year to 2 years, excruciatingly long or more. This romance, I had the idea last November. Fanfic brain. I was reading fanfic and I had a plot bunny and I went, oh, that'd be better as a book. File that away. And then I started it in April and I finished it in October. So in less than a year is insane as a process for me from start to finish. Yeah. So that was really short for that one. Do I still use a beta reader? Absolutely. I have alpha readers, so I have people who read as I write, those glorious people who fall on the sword for me, because I'm chaotic. My editor sometimes is the poor person who falls on that sword too. When I wrote my books on proposal for Random House Children's, I mean, you've watched my videos, and I am going to make one for the bitter end. Elizabeth went through the horrors with me. Elizabeth, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say she has the patience of a saint for putting up with me. I am chaotic in that I will, like, the way I draft and how I will send her my book in pieces. And so I use alpha readers like that too. I have alpha readers like that who really help me, because it absolutely helps me, which is, I think it's because I come from fandom, honestly. It's, that collaborative thing with beta readers too. Like, it really helps me to talk through things with someone who has enough context for it, either because I've blathered at them a ton already or they're reading it, to work through problems as I work. So I have alpha readers, and then I do have beta readers. I still use a pretty deep bench of beta readers, because, like, it's I fix something, I want to send it to a new test group. Like, did I fix the thing? I need a fresh set of eyes on this thing. So currently I have 3, like, what I think is probably the final, like, this is going to go to my agent draft. I have 3 people reading it right now to sanity check me before I actually send it back. Because I really want to sell this book. If I don't, it'll be fine, because I'm working on something else and always move forward. But I really would like to sell it. So I like I said, I want to get out of my own way and fix as much as humanly possible. Do they actually have writing retreat cruises? No, I want to make it a thing. Like, genuinely. So my friend and I went on our Thanksgiving cruise, because we went on an Alaska cruise last summer, 2024. And she brought her laptop and I didn't. And she worked on her book, the one that I had read some, and she was doing her revisions. I was like, and we were like I was like reading new stuff she had written on the cruise and giving her notes. I was like, man, I should bring my laptop on a next cruise and we can both do this. We can both work. So we did that over Thanksgiving this year and it was really fun. I used it to, I had just, that was my editing, the start of my editing pass to cut so many words from this book. And she's drafting something new. And so we just the two of us used the whole cruise, like when we were at the bar and sitting by the pool and like going to dinner, like we would run plot problems by each other and brainstorm. And like, it was really fun. And then I went by myself on a cruise for my birthday because I found a deal and I needed to take time off work. And that was so freaking productive, like even more productive than normal writing retreats, because writing retreats are usually social. When I'm by myself, I work. I force, like it's that I work better outside of the house problem I have where I go to coffee shops to work usually because there's something about the pressure I put on myself of going to a place. You've put on clothes. You've put on a face. I feel bad about using space in a coffee shop without buying something. So I buy something and LA is freaking expensive. I joke about this in this romance novel. There is a scene set in a coffee shop where I drag the shit out of how expensive coffee is here. You know, if I'm spending $9 on a coffee, I'm going to be there for 3 or 4 hours and I'm going to get a lot of work done. I actually, when I can, I buy food too. I like to spend, this is a privilege. Obviously, when I was living paycheck to paycheck, I wasn't doing this, but I am not paycheck to paycheck anymore. So I will buy coffee and a croissant or something, coffee and avocado toast, and I'll use their space for 4 or 5 hours. So I feel like there's like an exchange of goods and services for using their space. And I'm really productive because that's cheap. I'm paying myself to write, I suppose. And so the writing retreat cruise, I was just so productive because I was by myself and I didn't really have anyone to talk with, but that really worked out. And drink service. I didn't even drink that much, but it was so like, I felt like Hemingway, Aperol spritz and a laptop in a bar. It was great. And I think more writers should take cruises and write. And I think we should make that happen because it was great. I loved it. Because you're kind of a captive audience on a cruise. You literally can't go anywhere. Might as well work. Let's see. Would I ever host a live stream writing sprint? I used to all the time. I could potentially get back into that. Though I am not as effective on sprints anymore. The person who asked earlier how to actually do the thing, writing sprints, absolutely used to, in the early days, make me write and really helped me develop a writing habit. And I just don't need all those old tools. I generally don't need them anymore. But I recommend them. So that's partly why I don't do writing sprints. I don't really work like that anymore, but never say never. Let's see. And yes, I did mean do a cruise and treat it like a writing retreat, but truly group cruise, I think we should do a thing. Because if a group goes on a cruise, you get special rates for it and you can like have space on the cruise just for your group. I think it's a great idea. They have conference centers on cruise ships. Just saying. I think we should do it. Oh, that's actually really funny. The A was accidentally put into your username and you didn't bother changing it. Well, that's funny. Because it was like bunny to me, like bunny. Writing retreats are amazing. I do recommend them. Although, so they don't work for everyone. I actually have friends who it just doesn't work for them. They don't go, or even right outside the home. Like I have a good friend. She's great. She lives walking distance to my coffee shop, the one that I go to all the time. She's not productive at coffee shops. So we don't meet up to write in that way. We're friends otherwise. And same thing. She's like, yeah, she's not as productive on writing retreats as she'd like. So she doesn't do them. She's figured out a routine that is really efficient for her as a full-time writer writing at home. I wish it could be me. Someday it would help if I had an office. I don't have an office, which I think is part of it. I just live in a small apartment and there's no room for that. And I'm a chaos mess. I have a desk that I don't use because that is how great I am. Yeah, so catching up on chat. Yeah, some of the unhinged stuff people are projecting onto the heated rivalry actors is not okay. Especially because I am Francois' age. I'm in his age range. He's of my generation. I'm gonna throw hands. And the boys are 25. And they are just young enough. I feel motherly toward them. I would love to be their mom friend. Connor, I am available. I would mom friend the hell out of you, respectfully. But we could also hang because he's an old soul. Like, I'm impressed with his taste. But still, I would mom friend or auntie friend the heck out of them. And so I feel protective toward them. And people are being really out of pocket. Really out of pocket about them. Hi, cat cameo. This is Bronte. She's like, what are you doing? You should be petting me. Because her spot is on the couch next to me when her brother isn't in it. And if he shows up, he will push her out of the way. Brutal. Yeah, it's been uncomfortable. That said, I mean, I'm of course also parasocial about them, as one does. I support Francois and Connor in anything they want to do. I'm not a hater. In fact, I have been preaching what I thought was happening for a while, and I like to be proven right, and I hope they're happy. I wish only happiness for all parties involved. They deserve peace and happiness, and people not being weird online about them. Same thing for 911, by the way, with Oliver and Ryan. Can we not be weird, please? On main. If you're in fandom, you can be as crazy as you want on private. That's what everyone needs a group chat. Everyone needs a group chat. Same. Okay, they said please stop talking about our butts, but I don't think they 100% mean it. Just saying. They're actors. Actors are weird. Actors are weird people, and I think they waffle between like wanting to be seen and not wanting to be seen, which are authors, or at least I'm an author who's like that as well. It's a counterintuitive instinct. I still watch your harsh writing advice video at least once a year. That's the thing. The people it helps, it really helps. And the people who hate it really hate it. They've always amused me, but truly some of the comments I get on that video are deeply out of pocket. Like personal, like people are mean to me. The ones that amuse me though are the ones that assume that no one loves me, and that is why I tell people that your friends and family will lie to you. I was like, and I'm like, no, my family loves me. I'm actually uncomfortable. They do read my books. Don't ask them to. Deeply uncomfortable with it. Nothing but support and love in my family. But I also know, and then digression. And they also assume I'm deeply unsuccessful. I was like, I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. The most recent funny one, I get this pretty frequently. Digs on my appearance, constant. Number one way to hurt a person, especially a woman, is to dig on her appearance. Cheers. But also reading comprehension. Like I'm pretty clear in the description that it's there's an artifice to that one, and then I have a pinned comment. The rest of my content is not like that, but I also am a little sassy. I am a sassy person. Like it's like leaning into a performance version of myself. But I swear I'm nice. I promise. Catching up, scrolling. Ooh, more cruise talk. I love cruise. I've only been once, MSC, and absolutely hated it, but might try again for a writing cruise. Are you in Europe? Because like I know MSC is like really big in Europe. What cruise line and cruise you go on makes a huge difference. I'm really fortunate, I think, that I had pretty good early cruise experiences. I've also gone on ones I didn't like as much. And I'm like, oh man, if this had been my first cruise, this would absolutely color my feelings about this. There's nothing more frustrating than a bad cruise. I mean, a bad vacation in general, but cruises can totally like, yeah, they vary wildly. I've heard mixed things about cruises. Also, different cruise lines and cruise itineraries, and even like you can be affected by the port that you cruise out of. It's like vibes. It's kind of like finding a book that you like or TV shows that you like that vibe for you personally, like you as a person. different cruises for different types of people, and you have to find the right one. Or you just might not like cruising. I will admit, not everyone likes cruising, but I really like it. And part of like my matchmaker personality is like, let me find something that people will enjoy. What's really funny is while I was talking about the harsh writing thing, like 20 people left this live stream. Hopefully I didn't mortally offend anyone, although I haven't caught up in chat. Maybe something happened. I'm way behind in chat. If something happened, I apologize. We can talk about anything though. Although I am at 2 hours and 43 minutes. I do have to wrap up at some point because I'm going to a birthday party tonight and I'm going to have to, refresh my face. We want to talk about fun things about aging. My eyes get so like watery. I'm probably going to have to wash off and redo my makeup or I'm going to look so tired. We'll see. Ooh, are you moving to Toronto, not Toronto, Vancouver, where you might run into Hudson? Because I would die. I live in Francois and Connor's neighborhood, and I am willing a run-in. Like, they've been posting stuff where I'm like, no, literally, you live in my neighborhood. I mean, because LA is big, but not that big. I want it to happen so bad. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't even talk to them. I just want to like physically see them because they delight me. Yes, thank you. The people assume harsh advice like that is your way of telling them they'll never be good enough. But what I'm saying is the opposite of that. That is my intention. My intention is to say, these are the things holding you back. If you really want to do this thing, and you can get where you want to go. Like, that's the spirit in which it's given. Though, I mean, I do wholeheartedly mean, like, wholeheartedly and not wholeheartedly, because I think that you can arrive at a certain place eventually. But truly, if you can't take that, the industry's going to ruin you. Like, resilience is very, very important in this industry. Oh, you think you'll write after the stream? Yay, I want to inspire people. Which cruise line would be the best for a writing retreat? Great question. I would like to make a pitch specifically to Holland America if they would have me. Because I think so. My favorite cruise line, I think, is probably Royal. That vibes for me. It has a lot of pros and cons. What I like about Holland, though, as potential for a cruise writing retreat, it's actually a more low-key cruise line. Its claim to fame is that it's notorious for being the retirement home of the seas. It's older cruisers for sure, majority. But I think there's a real market opportunity there. First of all, I can tell because they got on my radar and I booked a cruise with them because it had competitive pricing and a good itinerary that suited me. I think they are actively trying to appeal to younger cruisers. Everyone's trying to appeal to younger cruisers as demographics shift. But I think they need to go harder at it as their demographic shuffles off this mortal coil. It is a quieter cruise line. It is definitely a lot more like, there's less going on in a lot of cases because a lot of people who cruise are older and retired. They, they eat breakfast at 7 a.m. because they got up at 6 a.m. and they eat dinner at 5. And I did have to give them notes because I was like, stop closing down your food venue at 8. Because some of us who live on the East Coast who stay up until midnight or 1 a.m. don't want to eat dinner necessarily at 5 or 6. Sometimes I do. I actually eat early dinner a lot. But my friend who was diabetic struggled finding if her blood sugar was spiking. She had trouble finding like a piece of fruit or whatnot to get because the food hours were absolutely catered to East Coast older people, even though it was a West Coast cruise. That was my perspective. But and they don't have a lot of as much daytime programming, which I also think they could definitely work on. There's less going on and less to do. But on the plus side, that made it so easy to write. There were so many quiet, chill spaces, not a ton going on. They weren't blasting music all the time. They had this amazing space called the Crow's Nest, which had a coffee bar with really good espresso, like really good coffee and cocktails, just full of tables, puzzles, board games. Like it was basically like a game room. And people were literally like playing chess and doing puzzles. And we did a lot of writing up there and had like a 360-degree view of the ocean, or like a 180. It had a big window and it was really comfortable. It was like a coffee bar. It was very chill, like very good vibes for writing. And they had a library on board, like a fully stocked library. Like it's a cruise that it's like for introverted bookish people. And so I think Holland America is a great cruise line for writing because it's not overstimulating. There's not too much going on. But it still has all like the pros of a good cruise. Like the cabin was really nice. Our room steward was amazing. It's like kind of a slightly more luxe cruise. The food was really good when it was open. They just need to work on their buffet hours, in my opinion. Good drinks, good cocktails, very chill and calm. I'm going on my 2027 Alaska cruise on Holland America. But Royal is my favorite. And the personal writing retreat one I did was on Royal, and I thought it was great. It was because I love the bar venues on Royal. I had a really good time on Royal. But to that end, Norwegian and Celebrity are also more chill. I haven't cruised them, so I imagine they also might work. I feel like the more lively cruises, so the bigger Royal ships and Carnival, will probably have too much going on to work as a writing retreat cruise. Like the key is you can't be like distracted or wanting to do other things. You have to be able to sit down and just like work and then reward yourself with fun in the evening, because cruises have heavier programming in the evening. And so Holland America had tons of evening programming, so we would be done with our writing, then go to dinner, and then go to like a show and like all that kind of stuff, go to a bar. So it was great. Any advice on which cruise lines, destinations, etc.? Yes. So they all have different personalities, as I've kind of been talking about. And I still haven't caught up on chat. So like if something happened, though people have come back to the stream. So I'm just going to go at this pace. Carnival, their headline is true. It's the fun cruise. I am not fun enough for Carnival. I'm going to be completely honest. Probably not going to cruise Carnival. Never say never. But feels a little too fun for me. Like I think I'd like some of it, but some of it I think would overwhelm me. Like, I don't need lots of nightlife on a cruise, but a lot of people love it. They want to go dancing and like all that kind of stuff. I'm just too boring. Lively, like game shows and stuff by the pool. I'm just a little too, I'm like an in-betweener. I need stuff going on, but not too much stuff going on. To that end, Virgin is also a little too cool for me, too lively. So Virgin is adult only, but they're like cool. They're like night shows. They're like sexy. And I'm just like, I don't think they have like a dance party for their sail away, but it's like sexy. I'm like, I think I'm too boring for this, to be perfectly honest. It's like, it's the Virgin brand. And like they have more like Virgin has like a series of restaurants. They don't have like a main dining room, and it's more like every meal you're going to go to like a cool trendy restaurant. It's just, that's their vibe. Carnival and Royal are both more mainstream and for families, but there's variances within the fleet. All of Carnival, they really do. They call themselves the fun ships. Royal has variants within, and I like Royal. I've mostly sailed Royal, but I haven't sailed their mega ships that are like theme parks, like directed towards more families and fun people. But that might be your vibe. Like if you want water slides and zip lines and go-karts and ice skating, all of those activities, rock climbing, surfing, Royal's great. I like Royal, but don't care about any of that stuff. I am not going to do that stuff on a cruise. I'm going to be at the bar with your literal grandmother. I will hang out with your grandmother, and I will be doing 70s music trivia. That's me. I will play categories on a cruise. I will go to the Newlywed Game show that they can't call that because of copyright and trademark, and I will watch married couples play funny, slightly dirty games about each other. I will be in the audience for that. I will go to karaoke. Occasionally I will participate, but on most ships I won't. I will watch other people do karaoke drunk. That is what I like on a cruise. And all royal ships have that stuff, but also I do the smaller, older ones also because I'm cheap. I love a good deal. But because they are quieter, the older, smaller ships don't have water slides and all the bells and whistles, or as many of the bells and whistles, but they still have the traditional cruise experience. As I mentioned in my video, I am a ham. I love a main dining room 3-course meal. I love a high tea. That's something I like on Holland America and Princess. I want little biscuits with clotted cream and tea service. That is delightful. Super fun. I love a themed bar. And that is where Royal edged ahead of Holland for me for sure. Royal is all about cheesy ass theme bars, and I live for it. My favorite one is the Schooner Bar. It's like nautical and old school. It like, you imagine like a bearded ship captain with a pipe sitting at the bar with you and you drink an old fashioned. It's so cheesy. They have on some boats, they have the Bamboo Room, which is a tiki bar. Love it. They have a sports bar. I'm less into the sports bar. The British pub is delightful. There's Boleros, which is like, that's where they have like Latin themed cocktails and they play like jazz. Like I love cheese. And so Royal ticks all those boxes for me. Celebrity is in the same Royal brand family. It's going to be that, but slightly more sophisticated. Norwegian's supposed to be pretty sophisticated, though lately everyone says Norwegian's really fallen off, so maybe don't do Norwegian. MSC is also a mainstream cruise line, which would probably be like Royal or Carnival, would have a lot of those fun things that appeal to a wide variety of people. If you want to go super luxe, like super classy, like Holland is, as I mentioned, it's a bit more boring. Like there are literally no water slides on a Holland America cruise. There are very few kids. There are very few families. There's like the Cunard or the Queen Mary is like more old school. So there's something for everyone, except for people who don't want to cruise at all. And then there's like super luxury, which I am not rich enough to do, but also boats that are a little too small and a little too classy. I need a little cheese. I'm not that sophisticated. I'm tiny bit sophisticated. One of my favorite things is their theater shows are so cheesy. They're so cheesy. They're so tacky, and I love it. I love going to see a musical review that was literally made for your grandparents on the older royal ships. Like some of them are so cringe. It's like they keep the same musical shows that from when the ship launched, and a ship that launched in the year 2002 as I believe my favorite ship was launched in 2001 or 2002, Radiance of the Seas. They literally created their theater shows for The Greatest Generation. And I find it so amusing to watch a musical review of Big Band and then a musical review featuring the works of piano players that were big in the 60s and 70s and 80s. They have a Billy Joel, Stevie Wonder, Elton John cheese review. It's so cheesy. I enjoy that stuff. And then there's also a really oh my God. Anytime they do something cultural, it's so cringe. It's like so upsetting. But they cast the most enthusiastic 22-year-olds, best kid in your dance class, best girl in your high school musical. And I find it very amusing. I really enjoy it. I like it. Because I like musicals and I like theater shows. If you go on really nice cruises, like new boats, they actually have real musicals though. I haven't been on one of those before. Because like I am inherently a cheap person though, and I'm always going to look for a deal. So I haven't really been on the really fancy cruises. But I also worry that I would find them overstimulating. So I like having a sense of a layout. I like being able to walk from one end of the ship to another and know where everything is and get a lay of the land and hit up a lot of things. Hi. I wish there was a video on how to write an outline. Not on my channel, but lots of other channels have those. You can, like, if outlining works for you, there are tools there, and I'm always going to be the worst person to give you those tools because I don't outline. So yes, this will be left up after. I don't think I have said anything atrociously embarrassing as of yet. So yeah. I was put off for years because I've been on boats and other kinds and get horrible seasickness, motion sickness. Yeah. I have a friend like that. I've desperately been trying to convince, and she won't because she got seasick on a yacht. I'm still sad. I'm still working on her because I also have gotten seasick on small boats. I went whale watching years ago and almost vomited over the side. That was deeply unpleasant. And I can get car sick too. I can get motion sick on an airplane if I'm reading during takeoff. I cannot be reading on my Kindle during takeoff on a plane. I can read after, not on takeoff. Real weird. But these boats are so stupid big. Marvels of modern engineering. So actually, I prefer the smaller boats because I don't like them to be overwhelming and I don't like all the bells and whistles. But you can feel smaller boats move. If you really want to play it safe, go on a mega ship. You literally cannot feel them. I went on a Royal Quantum of the Seas, which is the biggest boat I've been on yet. And that's not even their biggest boat. I was shocked. I could not feel. Like, we left port and I was like, wait, are we moving? Whereas on the smaller boats, you do start to feel, and sometimes it's like this. On the Holland boat, which is a smaller boat, we could feel the ship rocking in our cabin, which I actually found weirdly soothing. Like, you're in your bed and you're just like going like this. I don't know. I didn't mind it. So I haven't gotten seasick. The worst was my first day on my first ever cruise. I had vertigo for about 24 hours. Like, I just felt really weird because I could feel my body moving, and then it passed and I've never had a problem since. But yeah, try a really big cruise ship and you'd be surprised. But also, there are some hardcore prescription drugs that you can get from doctors for motion sickness that are apparently magic. So you can kind of prepare ahead of time if you want to try it. Sorry, my cat just made a sad sound that meant, why aren't you petting me? Multitasking is so hard. Oh, you are moving to Vancouver. Nice. I am going to be in Vancouver in May. It is the end of my repositioning cruise I'm going on in May. And then I'm going to be on it in Vancouver in October. No, September. Yes. Right? Yes. Because that is where I'm starting my cruise to go to Hawaii in September. So I'll be in Vancouver twice this year. Because what's nice, I love West Coast cruises. Oh, that was the other piece of advice. So different vibes. I have mostly done West Coast cruises because they are convenient to me. Because I live in California, it is less laborious for me to fly to Vancouver or Alaska or go from LA or go to San Diego. Those are the ports that I have gone from. And therefore, I haven't had to factor in as bad a way an extra. Well, I do an extra day for travel, but not as bad as going to the East Coast or further. I haven't had to worry about awful flight prices. Like, the thing with cruising is you always have to work around the logistics of getting yourself to and from the cruise, and bear those in mind when you are making decisions. But also because different ports absolutely have different vibes, different itineraries leaving from different places. And they're going to attract like more people from that coast and that local area inadvertently, usually. And so this is the light is changing. I'm mad. Oh, it's that late afternoon California backlighting. I'll just look washed out. It's fine. And I've only done one cruise out of Florida. It was also, though, a borderline booze cruise, which I think impacted the vibe. It was a 5-day Coco Cay perfect day cruise, which was great, by the way. I love Royal Stupid Private Island. I really enjoyed that. But because it was a 5-day, it felt like a booze cruise. And I don't know if it's because it was a 5-day or because I ported out of Florida, but that cruise was a little unhinged and it was less my vibe than all the other cruises I've gone on. I really like a slightly more subdued, boring vibe. And I've heard things from some cruise ports that the cruises can get more wild, but that can be a good thing. If I want to go on a fun Caribbean cruise, Florida. Alaska cruises are so low-key because who is flying to Vancouver and Alaska and going on Alaska cruise? Yes, some families, but mostly people like me who like cold weather cruises in the summer. We're very low key. We're introverts who like nature. So it's a vibe. You get different vibes on like beachy cruises versus like scenic cruises. Like, you're just going to get different vibes. I would love to do European cruises. I'm sure that's also a whole different vibe. And you can just kind of bear that in mind. Yeah. But also another thing is price points. And the type of cruise you pick. There can be unhinged behavior on cruises. And so you're just not going to catch me on Margaritaville at sea, basically. Basically, not my speed. So bear that in mind. What you think you may or may not like. And my thing with the bigger ships is I really don't do well in crowds. So I'm not going to go on a crazy crowded ships. I've been the least happy on more crowded cruises. So, because I don't like crowds very much. I mean, who does? But I definitely don't. So my first Alaska cruise was honestly overcrowded. I picked a smaller, less crowded boat for my second Alaska cruise and my third on purpose. Because I got so stressed in the buffet, I wanted to murder someone. And the elevators were a mess. So, all right. I'm once again so far behind in chat. It's fine. We're fine. Viking is one of the most expensive cruise lines. Yeah, they're a little bougie for me. That said, someday I would love to do a river cruise. A fancy river cruise in Europe. Your sister should be a dancer on cruises. They are very good. One of my favorite, I like it when they're all good, but I love it on a cruise when the dancers are killing it. I appreciate good dancers, and they cast some really good people on cruises, but I was being like facetious, but like meaning they're all babies. Like, cause it makes sense. You're going to cast someone who's either like fresh out of high school and isn't going to college. I've definitely seen those because they're trying to be professionals and they're not going to traditional college, but a lot of them are like 21 years old because they've just graduated from college. Maybe they did a dance program and this is their first job. And it's a great job for young people working on a cruise. I watch a lot of those influencers where that's their job. And some of them are really good dancers. And you do see people when, cause I go to a lot of musicals, like I hear, and I've gone to some Broadway, but like I go to a lot of the shows in Pantages. At least several times a season, you see in someone's bio that they got started on cruise ships. It's a pipeline there are some very talented people on cruise ships. Am I the kind of person who would thrive if I could live on a cruise long term? Probably not, honestly. I think I would go insane. My limit, the longest I've done is 10 days. I'm doing a 12-day later this year, and I think that's going to hit up against my limits because the 10-day almost got there. And even when I've been on 7 days, by day 6, I'm not that mad about going home. I don't know how much longer I could push, but we'll see. I do start to go stir crazy a little. Stir crazy, and just a thing that this is just like from travel. Even like I eat less now. I eat like a normal person now, and even eating like a normal person. But I don't drink like a normal person on a cruise because almost no one drinks like a normal person on a cruise, and that's the thing. I don't drink outside of those situations. I'm really not a drinker. So between just drinking at all and you kind of inadvertently, the days revolve around food on cruises, on eating, just the way the meals work. Though I have found a much better equilibrium. I don't do 3 meals a day on a cruise. I can't, I'll die. It's just too much food. It's way too much food. I kind of center my day around doing that ridiculous 3-course meal in the dining hall. You just end up feeling like full, and because there's sugar and all the alcoholic drinks, and there's alcohol in the alcoholic drinks. I don't know. I reach day 5 or 6 and I'm just sleepy all the time. And I just get tired. I was like, okay, I think I can go back to my normal life now. And just kind of hit a wall. That said, I'm very much looking forward to my 12-day repositioning cruise. I'm going to be in my element. It's going to be amazing. Just 12 days on a boat for the most part. Yeah, it's going to be great. I just got a pop-up ad about cruising while you're talking about cruises. They're listening. They are absolutely listening. They're listening to you. Ginger capsules. Yeah, I have like a med kit that I take on cruises. I haven't needed most of it, but I always have motion sickness supplies if you need it. So if you see me on a cruise, I have Dramamine and ginger chews. So I don't have the hardcore stuff because you do need a prescription. I used to have the seasickness bands, but I lost one of them. And so since I haven't needed them, I haven't replaced them. Yeah, so Alaska cruise is completely my vibe. Norwegian fjord cruise is on my bucket list. I also want to do, you can do Iceland itineraries. I would love to do like, there's some that are like Iceland and Ireland. I would love to do. I mean, there's so many I want to do. I want to do the one that goes all around South America and Antarctica, like that one for sure at some point. Yeah, because I'm not afraid of flying, but I can be a nervous flyer. And I think that's another reason cruises are just, I caught up. Yeah. I think cruises are really attractive to me because it pushes me out of my comfort zone to go to more places. I like travel, but I'm not the best flyer and I'm not the best at kind of leaving home, and getting out of my comfort zone, but I like it when I do it. So cruising has really pushed me to do things I hadn't done before, that I've wanted to do and have been putting off. So I see it as an opportunity for me, including trying lots of drinks that I never would have tried. Sophisticated drinker over here now. Is an airplane ride from American Airlines more expensive than a cheap cruise? Yes. That's the other thing. Like the bang for buck I have been getting out of some of my cruise vacations is insane compared to what you would spend to like go to Disney World or something. It's insane what you can get out of a cruise if you are smart and you look for deals. And I'm a deal seeker. I'm truly inherently cheap at heart, very cheap. So what do I mean by repositioning cruise? I love repositioning cruises. And basically, so cruises have seasons, and there are seasons that are better. Like you can go on a Caribbean cruise year round, no question. They run them year round because the Caribbean is always warm. The warm weather cruises, Mexican cruises, you can do Mexican cruises year round, but you have peak seasons. So like peak season, that's summer just because of travel reasons, but other places, other regions have very rigid travel seasons. Alaska is one of them. Australia, I mean, it's not like as rigid, but Australia also, like the Pacific Rim cruises definitely have a season as well, because their summer is our winter in Australia, the Southern Hemisphere. So there are certain things that they'll run at certain times of the year that make more sense with the weather. Alaska cruises are only in the summer because otherwise it's too cold. So Alaska, the season is May to September, like sometimes late September into October. And they have to get the boats to Alaska. This is like the best example. These are the ones I've done. They have to get the boats to Alaska. The other half of the year, they're in other parts of the world. So these cruises run year round. So they're always making money. They're never taking cruises out of service, but you have to get the cruise from one part of the world to the other. And they call those repositioning cruises. They're literally to reposition them to a new region for the next season. And they tend to be sea day heavy, not a lot of ports. And so they can be less attractive to cruisers who care about ports. I don't care about ports as much. I mean, ports are interesting, but there are itinerary based cruisers who really, they care about the itinerary. They care about where the boat is going and what they're going to do when they're not on the boat. I am someone who likes the boats. I like the stuff on the boats. I like port days too. I want to have a cruise that has interesting ports, but I care way less about that. I care more about the sea days. And so repositioning cruises are great because the average cruiser doesn't want a bunch of sea days where there's nothing to do. I do because there's not nothing to do. There's stuff to do. I like to do stuff on the boat, but there's less demand. So those cruises are cheaper because they're more boring. There's less to do. And so you can find good deals on repositioning cruises. They're also less likely to sell out. So they're less crowded. And they're at weird times of the year. So for Alaska repositioning cruises, they're always going to be in late April, May, and late September, October. Going between certain places. So the one I took a few years ago was that I loved. It's like the favorite cruise I've ever taken. It was from Vancouver to San Diego, and they were repositioning from the end of the Alaska season going to Florida. So when I got off, I only did one leg of it. I got off and came home. But I was on that cruise with people. There are people who cruise like full time. I was on that cruise with people who did a week in Alaska. In fact, some of them did back-to-backs. They did 2 weeks in Alaska, then they did Vancouver to San Diego, then they did the Panama Canal cruise, which is a very famous repositioning cruise, where basically you do a bit of South America and you go through the Panama Canal to end in Florida. And then it ends in Florida and it becomes a Caribbean cruise until it goes back to Alaska. And it's just repeat in ad nauseum. The one I'm doing in May is going from LA to Vancouver because it's going to start the Alaska season. And then the one I'm doing in September is Vancouver to Hawaii because the second leg of it is going to Sydney. I am not going to go to Sydney because I would be on a boat for over a month and I don't have that many vacation days. But I am taking 2 weeks of vacation to go on that repositioning cruise. And I'm really excited. Oh, cat. She's so sweet. I really like them because I like the boat itself, but also deals. I'm going on the Vancouver to Hawaii one because the deal was ridiculous for a 2-week vacation, including flights, hotel, the cruise itself is going to be like $2,500, which is cheap for that. The actual cruise though was $1,200 each. That's a dual occupancy. I'm going with a friend. That is crazy for all inclusive. It's all inclusive, all your meals and whatnot. But then I had to pay for my drink package. So you have to factor that in. And I sound crazy saying this because when I tell you, I never had money for any of this before. And I recognize that it is such a first world privilege to say that is a cheap cruise. It is, but it's also insane. Me 5 years ago would be like, I would smack me in the face. So yeah, it's because I'm a sink. I'm single income, no kids. It's the only reason. And I got a raise at work a couple years ago, and I never spend my book deal money. So yeah. Yeah, I have it basically Marsh the Bun A saying you don't go on vacation, you done a couple Canada, trips and day trips. I also just didn't go on vacation and it forces me to go on vacation. And that's the thing where like I suck up the cost. Like it's been a real transition for me to be like, it is worth spending. I had never spent $2,000 on anything until on a vacation for sure, ever, until I took one of these. I'm like, deep breaths. It's worth it to unplug and enjoy leisure. This is what people do, apparently. They enjoy leisure. It's such a middle class thing. And I did not grow up middle class. So it's been interesting. Oh, Mediterranean cruises on my bucket list too. I desperately want to do one. I need to find a friend and convince them. The trick there is that that is not cheap because you got to fly to Europe. My real thing, if I ever don't have a day job, I want to do a transatlantic cruise and then do a Mediterranean cruise. I just want to be on a cruise ship for like a month and a half. That would be great. I would just do all of Europe, basically. In my future where I'm some rich kept woman, if there's some man who would like to keep me, but not like literally, I can also make my own money. But that'd be great. Like I need health insurance though. That's my problem. So fun fact, I am also terrified of water, and for some reason boats don't freak me out. Big boats. They are such marvels of modern engineering. They don't scare me. It's like a not a logic thing. It's like a anxiety thing for me. Yeah. But I do relate to that. I am actually legitimately afraid of water. I will not go swimming in deep bodies of water. I'm very wary of small boats. Very wary of small boats. It's like this weird cognitive dissonance I have. And yeah, repositioning cruises are great for writing retreats. On the 12-day one, even though the friend I'm traveling with isn't a writer, I will probably take my laptop and definitely use some time. I went on my 2025 Alaska cruise with her. And we both just spent a lot of time reading. It was great. I read like 500 words of DCU fan fiction on my 2025 Alaska cruise. That was the start of it. Because yeah, that's what started it. I just read like 500,000 words of fan fiction in a week on a cruise. It was great. I had a great time. And I drank. It was great. Oh, just applied for a new passport. Yes, plan a trip. It's been very freeing. And again, I feel very, very privileged that I'm able to go anywhere. But if you are lucky enough to live near a cruise port, you can really find deals. Actually, Marsh the Bun A, when you moved to Vancouver for school, you are going to be made in the shade. If you are able to, if you're there year round, if you're not going to go home for the summer, you are going to be able to get such cheap ass last minute cruises to Alaska. And I highly recommend you do it because you are in the port for Alaska. And when they need to sell last minute leftover rooms, you're going to be able to get on cruises for a steal. And I'm actively jealous of you. Like, actually, you could probably do some good California cruises too. Holland America, I think they still do it. They have like a last minute cruise thing where they will base it on like with less than a week's notice. You can get a crazy deal to fill space on their cruises. Highly recommend. I am legit jealous of you. I get to do a lot less of that in LA. Like theoretically, I should be able to do that in a port like LA, but job. And also, cruising is very in demand right now in LA. Like it's really blown up post-COVID that like Royals brought extra boats. That's why we have Quantum of the Seas now. It's so in demand. It's been harder to get an actually good deal. And also our cruises are way less exciting. Like your last minute cruises is Hawaii or like the Pacific Northwest in California. Ours is Ensenada. That's it. It's Ensenada. And now Cabo. There are 5-day cruises to Cabo. But because of where we're located and maritime rules, like moderate shade to Ensenada. It's just not the most exciting Mexican port. And if you want to go to the cool Mexican ports, you got to go on a longer cruise, and that works less well for like just going on a last minute cruise. But like if you just want to go on a weekend cruise, Ensenada is your only choice. But that was my birthday cruise. I was just like, a good deal for a 4-day cruise. Sure. It's cheaper than it would have been to go to check myself into a hotel to get work done. Like cheaper than that would have been. So that's how I kind of used it. I love being caught up on the chat. We are in the 3rd hour. I will cut myself off at some point. We'll talk about cruises till the end, and like this went okay. Next time I will get my StreamYard back, and I will probably the next thing I'm going to want to stream about is going to be AI. I'm going to want to actually I want to show you what I was able to prompt AI to do, ChatGPT to do, for fiction, which might help you, be aware of what it does, but also be able to spot it better, maybe. Because I'm just cackling tickled when you compare the prompt I gave it from my book and my actual writing. It's like night and day. I think it's just so apparent what a human can do versus an AI. While the AI isn't terrible, it's still humans trump all. I want to do something fun. Yeah, if I can't see through the water, I also will not swim in it. If I can't touch the bottom, I'm just not, and I don't like weird things touching my feet. I'm not going to really get in the ocean. I will not swim in a lake. I'm weird about deep ends of pools because I almost drowned when I was a kid. So that's a hard pass for me. Yeah, let's see. But yeah, cruises don't scare me. That said, you will never find me near the edge of a railing. You can go overboard on a cruise, that you have to try to go overboard on a cruise, but I will not be close to a railing where someone can push me over, run into me. I will not drink and go near. I fear for my life on a cruise in that respect, but it's not going to Titanic itself. It's just they're marvels of modern engineering. They're quite intense and insane. Yeah. And they won't Poseidon Adventure, which was, I think, probably the other movie I watched as a kid that put the fear of God into me about boats. Yeah. Respectful fear. Another reason I love 911. Tim Minear has all of my references. It's amazing. Every chat will circle back around to 911 and Buddy. So you're in the Midwest near St. Louis. So the good thing is, good and bad, you have your pick because you're equidistant to where you could go. So you can follow the itineraries and the price. Because the thing is, I would go on more Caribbean cruises if I didn't have to fly to Florida or Texas. So far, it's only Florida. Because that is such the cost and time for me to fly all the way to Florida, I have to build an extra 48 hours into the vacation. So let's say it's a 7-day cruise. I got to take, that's 9 to 10 vacation days for me, because it's going to take me much longer. It's more expensive for me to fly all the way to the East Coast. It's the opposite problem that an East Coast person would have, having to come all the way out here. When you're in the middle, that's actually kind of nice. And actually, I will say, St. Louis, look into cruises out of Galveston. That shouldn't be as laborious in terms of timing and maybe cost for you. Galveston's a cruise port. New Orleans also has one. I don't know as much about New Orleans as a cruise port, but Galveston is a big one for Royal, for sure, and Carnival. You can do some good Mexican and East and West Caribbean cruises out of Galveston. And then, the Florida ports. That's another bucket list cruise. I really want to do Northeastern Canada. There's one that goes to Prince Edward Island in Nova Scotia that I really want to do. And it's a fall only cruise. So it's like a foliage cruise. I love cold weather vibes. I love them. I want to do that at some point. And those mostly port out of Baltimore and Boston. And so that also works for me because I have friends and family in both places and could possibly convince them to go with me. So that's all on my list. I just, still have my day job and whatnot. And I do hate leaving my cats too. Those poor things. If you're cruising by yourself, is it twice as expensive? Yes. And that's the worst part. That's why I've taken one actual solo cruise. That was my birthday cruise. That's why the price worked out, because it was still a deal by myself. Even at twice the price, it was still a good deal. If I'd had a friend, it would have been even better. But it was the middle of the week before Christmas. No one could go with me. Single people problems. Single people with jobs problems. That's a light work week for me. So I was able to go. So the trick is finding people to cruise with you. And so that is why I have been hitting up every single person I know who might go on a cruise with me and haranguing them until they've gone. And I have converted a few people. That's the best thing. Like my friend Caitlin and my friend Casey, they get it now. I dragged them on one and I converted them, and now we're going on other cruises together. I still have to find someone local to LA who will go on cruises with me. I'm working on it. Other than I have the friend who got me into cruising is local to LA and goes on cruises with me, but she is also an adult with a job, and she actually has a family. So she can't always just go on cruises with me. That whole thing of having a family. How dare. So that is what I would probably do more solo cruises if it does physically hurt me if I feel I'm overpaying for a cruise, and they become expensive if you're solo. And the thing is, you have to really like the person you're cruising with, because those cabins are not big and you are sharing space with them for a week, including a very small bathroom. So bear that in mind. Yeah. Plus, they're the person that you eat all your meals with, et cetera, et cetera. But I like companionship cruising, where I like them, obviously. They're my friends and I get along with them, and I can share a cabin with them, but we don't do everything together. Because I like doing solo activities on a cruise. My friend doesn't have to also always want to go to the bar with me. That sounds like an alcoholic thing. It's because that's where the trivia is. They don't have to want to go to the pool at the same time I do, but it is definitely more pleasant to go to the hot tub with your friend. Safety in numbers too. There's not that there's skeevy stuff on a cruise, but you can kind of brute force dominion over a hot tub if there's more than one person, which I like to do, so that you're not weird people in the hot tub with you. And I like meals with a person. That was the one thing on my solo cruise where I was I'm a little too introverted to make friends on this cruise, and so I ate alone. And that's the only time it was kind of eating every meal alone is a little bummer. But everything else alone, it was fine. I've gone on excursions alone. My friend got really sick on one of our cruises. So I was just me and a bunch of people in their 70s on an excursion in Oregon. It was great. No complaints. I've gone on excursions alone in Alaska. Again, it's me and a bunch of people in their 70s on a bus. It's great. Were you writing a cruise thriller before you switched to the romance novel? I was, and I will go back to that at some point. So... yeah. Catching up on chat. Oh yeah, Liverpool. A lot of European itineraries are going to port out of there. Makes sense. Sorry, I'm just catching up. Red Planet 205. You think I've lost about half a stone? Try a lot more stones than that. Like a lot more stones. Yes, but a lot more than half a stone. If that's about me. Let me see. How many stones have I lost? I've lost 4.5 stones. 4.64 stones in the last year and change. Let's see. Yeah, so earlier in this stream, you can watch it back, I gave a preview of some of my thoughts on AI because I am incapable of not blathering about things, but I'm going to do a whole separate live stream. Like, I really want to like dig in and like as both a cautionary tale and in mocking, but also like the line level prose that ChatGPT is producing is incredibly concerning, and we are seeing a rise and will continue to see a rise of people without scruples 100% using ChatGPT to write. It's already happening and it's going to get worse. 100%. It's very dismaying, and I've had to warn some of my colleagues because like we wrote it off when it first came in because like what we do is valuable. Real writing is valuable, and there are things that we can do that AI cannot do and will never do. However, it has gotten very good at certain things that it can do, and it is incredibly concerning. Especially like there are lowest common denominator people in capitalism who don't care and will take the shortcut, and we should be concerned about that. Yeah. And so like, yeah, as readers, we have to have those standards. But yeah. Hold on. Never seen the Gulf in person. Neither have I, actually. I feel like I'm just not as well traveled as I would like, which is another reason I've been doing this. It's hard to get out of my comfort zone. I like to do the same things over and over again, which is why I keep going to Alaska. But I genuinely, like the Alaska cruises are just so my vibe. I love rain and cold weather and trees, and I still haven't seen a bear, but I will see a bear on one of these at some point. I really want to see the Northern Lights too. Oh my God. So badly. I got so close on my last cruise. Like it was in the forecast. I stayed up till 4 a.m. hoping to see the Northern Lights, and I did not. I tried. So if you can't share a room, so I haven't been able to plan ahead enough to do this. So if it's going to be solo cruising, first of all, you can look for deal cruises where it's not going to break the bank to double your fare. I've done that. There are a very few number of solo cabins on some boats. You have to be one of the first people to book that boat to get a solo cabin, and Norwegian Cruise Lines has more solo cabins than any other line. Caveat there, I've heard mixed things about Norwegian of late, but it is possible to work this system as a solo cruiser. My MO has been I've found some people I can bear to cruise with, and then also deal cruising. So the one that I did, the 10-day repositioning cruise I did that I loved, it was such a good deal. I paid the solo supplement. I took the penalty. It's not always twice, but it's usually 150%. You're usually paying 1.5 if you can snag a deal of what you would pay otherwise. So I just sucked it up on that repositioning one, but it was great. I do like being in a cabin by myself. It's quite nice. It's quite roomy if you're by yourself. With another person, you do have to like them, especially for sharing a bathroom. So I've never finished a book in my entire life. Any advice? I kind of talked about that earlier in the chat. Also, I do have videos on this. The short version is, you have to work on something you were burning to write. Whatever your book idea is, you need to be burning to write it. You have to, because you need motivation. You need to really want to write the story. A great way to do that is have it be, you don't have to outline. That might also help you. But writing towards something is very helpful. Like what's helped me on every book, even though I don't outline, there's some big scene toward the end of the book that I really want to write. In a romance, it's like the culmination of the romance or like a confession scene. In a murder mystery, it's like solving it, like a big conflicty scene. And like, I have to be burning to write that. It can also be burning to write specific characters. And then you have to develop a writing habit and a routine, and you have to trick yourself into writing and make yourself write, including when you don't feel like it. And there are a lot of methods for doing that. I have a series on my channel, Writing Hacks, I think that's what I call them. And I had like, a lot of them are just practical tips on how to get yourself to write. I also have a whole video on the star sticker method, which is a writing tracking method. One of the hacks I talked about was writing sprints. That helps. Writing routines, just like you have to make yourself do it. And you have to want to do it as well, because once you figure out how to do it, you can do it again. The hardest thing is figuring out how to do it. But motivation, and it has to come from within. It has to be internal motivation rather than external motivation / validation. So, personal question. Are you enjoying the dating scene in LA? I loathe it with my entire being, and I'm terrible at it. It's terrible. It's actively terrible. I've never quite fit into it as a non-22-year-old hot person, but especially now that I am a 42-year-old not hot person. It's not great. It's terrible. It's terrible for everyone though. It's terrible for everyone. But yeah, it's atrocious, and I hate everything about it. Yeah, it's not good. I have friends who just grin and bear it, and they think I'm just like, they're not as negative as I am about it, but they are also younger than I am. I'm just jaded. It's fine. It's never been great, but it gets worse as you get older. It's a strange place to live. There's an ever refreshing supply of deeply hot 22-year-olds. And as a woman, that is not helpful at all. Yeah. I have no desire to compete with that, so to speak. Because the problem is, you get older. The women, the average man, not all men, but the woman the average man dates and wants to date in Los Angeles stays the same age. That is absolutely a trend in Los Angeles. It's a looks-based meat market. That sounds so negative, but it's also true. It's also true. Yeah. Yes, all the men in my age range want to date a lot younger. Yes. Or they don't want children. And while I am probably past my prime, would like to have children, even if it's like, I would be a great stepmom. No compunction. That would be great. I would adopt. And I don't want to completely close that door. And a ton of people, and this is good because I think people should have every right to be child free. Most of my friends are child free. That is not, I don't want to, I don't want to close that door. And so that also eliminates a lot of options immediately. So cheers. Oh, also, I don't want to, I love creative people. I do. I don't want to have I joke about being a Catwoman, and it is a joke. It is a joke because I do take care of myself. I don't want to take care of someone else either. I have had experience. There are a lot of starving artists in LA, and I respect the hustle. I do. But you got to be doing something for the hustle. Because I'm not a good sugar mama. Like that, I'm not interested in that. You gotta, I need someone who knows what a 401k is and has invested something in it, who has some direction, any direction. I'll take literally any direction, ambition at all. And healthy financial outlook. Cause I am so financially insecure, that lower middle class mentality will never leave me. So I want to find someone who's in a similar financial and career position, and there's a lot of mess out there. Yeah. That's very personal. I usually don't talk about personal stuff, but other than that, my standards aren't even that high. They're not in the basement, but they're certainly on the first floor. Yeah. And I just want someone nice who likes me. And doesn't want me to be like their mom or their maid, because I'm really bad at cleaning. You don't want me to keep house. I will cook. I like cooking. I'm too scattered to do bills or make appointments. I can't drive. And the mom thing, I'm very nurturing. I will nurture, but I'm not your mom. I don't want to be a man's mom, a person's mom. I am dating men, unfortunately. So, not interested, because that ends up being, I don't want an emotionally, an inequitable relationship. That's not my deal. I'm not into that. I see a lot of women in deeply miserable relationships, and I'd rather be single. So I live in a city of dreamers, yes, which is a pro and a con. I love creative energy. I like creative people, but I'm a practical creative person. I got a day job. I have health insurance. I have a 401k, like, because I don't want to starve on the street. Like, and that just comes from my upbringing. Like, yeah. So, yeah, nice and who likes me is an insane ass nowadays. It feels that way sometimes. And specifically, all right, so like to actually seriously answer your question with dating on the apps, especially, it is, and this is, I put a joke about this in my romance novel. It is like pulling teeth to get a man, a cis man, well, a straight man, a man in Los Angeles in my age range to ask me a single question on a dating app. To ask any question. I feel like I'm interviewing people half the time. I'm great at asking questions because I look at a profile and I look for things to talk about because I have a journalism degree and I'm interested in people. You know that I say on my profile that I am a published author and they don't ask me about it. They don't ask me about it. They don't ask me about my job. They don't ask me questions. It's insane. The social, like, erosion of people's ability to people is bizarre. Like, it's like people don't know how to talk to people and express interest in people. And I don't want to have to work that hard. And I actually am not that comfortable making it about me. I have also dated people who ask me too many questions. You're like, what is wrong with you? I don't like to feel like I'm an interview subject either. I just want to have a conversation. Just a back and forth. Please. Please. Yeah. It's like pulling teeth. But this is a universal problem. This is not just a me problem. This is not just an LA problem. I think this is a modern dating problem. And I'm terrible at going in person to places where people meet people. All of my hobbies are majority women, which I love for me. Doesn't help me with dating. A lot of my friends, probably the majority of my friends are, queer or bi, etc. I don't date women. So that doesn't work for me, unfortunately. I'm not like, yeah. So I don't like bars, so that doesn't help. And I don't like people like join a hiking club. I'm not that kind of outdoors kid. I want to look at the mountain. I don't want to climb the mountain. So all my hobbies just don't, and honestly, someone who's super outdoorsy doesn't want to date me. I'm too boring. I like books and video games and television. Yeah. I don't clean, but I do cook. I'm actually a very good cook. I feel like this is a life skill I bring to the table. Hudson Williams. What a good egg. I, again, with crazy fandom, leave that man and whoever he is dating alone. Let him be normal and be whatever he wants to be. Can we not forcibly out people in general, by the way? Anyway, any advice on how to write faster? I want to push past one novel a year. I wish I could learn that skill. I haven't gotten there yet, but I do hope I'm on my way. Mind you, it's mostly been through fan fiction. I think it's that routine, and I think it's forcing you out of your comfort zone and just going for volume writing. I am going to try it in the future. I think it's just developing the muscle. And when you're ready to develop the muscle, I think I might be ready to finally develop that muscle now, but I've never been there before. I think I'm sure there are faster writers than me that might have more practical advice, but that's as close as I can get, probably, because I have not mastered that yet. You can literally play a game of how long can you go without them asking anything back. I have played that game, and usually when I decide not to play anymore, when they never message again. It's conversation chicken. I do play it where I'm like, one question. Will you ask me anything? Yeah. So. Oh, and you mean an in-person date? The date was great. Yeah, I can't even get past that on chat half the time. Like, if you cannot ask me a single question beyond, and when your openers, how are you? I give them openers too. One of my favorite openers in Los Angeles. If it has rained recently, or if I see on their profile that they are from the East Coast, I'll hit them with the "Me too. Did you also really enjoy the rain last week?" When I tell you 90% of the time, their follow-up, if there's a follow-up, is not. So I'll even ask them, like, let's say I've had this happen. I can see that they're from Boston. And my profile, because I'm originally from DC, so it says my hometown is DC. I will ask them. I will even say I went to college in Boston. Weather, blah, blah, blah. They will not ask me a single follow-up about when I moved here. I'll ask them, when did you move to LA? Like, basic questions. This is a transplant city. When did you move to LA? Try, sir. Try person. Could be any person. According to Reddit, men think women also are bad on dating apps. So apparently we're all terrible at this. Yeah. And of course, according to Reddit, women are just out there ruining men and rejecting them brutally and like treating them like a meat market. I was like, not me. I don't have my pick of the litter. The litter is very small. So I think they just mean the sea of 22-year-olds that they're all competing for. And I feel bad for those women, by the way, because they get hit with so much shit. It's not easy for them. Hearing about dating makes me want to date less. Yeah. Reading about dating is different. Exactly. It's a fantasy. I wrote a fantasy novel. It's just a contemporary romance. Yeah, I gave up on dating apps a long time ago. I cycle back because it's just like, I feel like there's no other option. And actually, I have been gearing up to torment myself on Hinge again. I need to do it. It's fine. Anyway. This is just a dating chat now. We really need to, like, someone needs to revolutionize, like, and come up with something new, like, to fix this. And it's not me. Someone needs to. There has to be a way. A new social way to connect people that isn't dating apps. They're all awful. They're all gamified and terrible. The lack of conversational skills and emotional intelligence of some men. Yes, some, and it's only some. And here's the thing: the ones who aren't bad are not on the dating apps. I just need to know how to find them. How? I know they exist. There are good men. Anyway, I need to find like, yeah, I need to find a real life Evan Buckley. Like, how do I find that? Is my question. Anyway, we just need like an app for Evan Buckley's. Yeah. Yeah, Reddit has some interesting takes. Every time I go on a dating thread on Reddit, though, I end up feeling like old, shriveled up, fat shrew, because it's like it always devolves into men making comments about like ugly, fat, old women who want children ruining everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. Cheers. Like, because they're so pressed about it. I'm like, yeah, you're the... They're not the only ones making it bad, but they're one of the ones making it bad, making it deeply unpleasant. This feeling that you're putting yourself out there over, and I know men feel this too, but in a different way, over and over again, to be dehumanized and like treated like a piece of shit. That's what it feels like. And that doesn't feel good. Books are nicer to me. I'd rather, but writing books has given me more than online dating ever has. So also a joke in my book because it's true. Yes, hello. Hello. Cats. Cats. I'd rather hang out with my cats half the time. Yeah, when all the single men are trying to date the same age range, of course are going to get turned down quickly. Yeah. Because honestly, sir, if you are, so I'm 42. If you're 40 years old and you are messaging a 22-year-old, I have questions. I have questions. Questions. A lot of questions. And I support the women rejecting them. I support those young women who need to be protected from weirdos who are definitely, yeah. I support women. There you go. I support women. I support all women. Yeah, it's a mess out there. I think the reintroduction of third places is needed 100%. And that's what I mean. Can some other genius solve this? Can like bookish meetups, but for singles. I don't know, but like in a safe way where it doesn't feel weird. I don't know. Like yeah. Like I just need yeah. Yeah. The cats use me as a bridge. Yeah, as a queer person in a small city, I feel like unless I want to move, I have to use dating apps. Yeah. Especially when you are looking for something specific and like you really want to make a connection, it feels like the easiest way. And when online dating started, it was like, I am old enough. Kill me. I remember when online dating was good. I had moderate success in my 20s with online dating, not only because I was in my 20s, but because it was nascent and it hadn't all been bought by the same company and there weren't algorithms in the same way. OkCupid used to be the way for nerd dating, for niche nerd dating and queer dating. OkCupid definitely was good for queer dating. And like, it's all bad now. It's all terrible now. Yeah. It's all stratified and gamified and the algorithm is bad actually. And they're trying to get you to pay. Oh, Evan. Yes. Evan Buckley, the man that you are, you poor broken puppy dog of a man. I can fix you. I'm kidding. He's fixing himself. His character arc is really interesting. And obviously he needs to be with Eddie, but he's still like the bisexual man of my dreams. So, you know, although I've heard firefighters are actually terrible to date. So if he were a real person, he would probably actually legit be terrible to date. Ooh, we're getting like golden hour lighting. I approve. Like a friending dating app for people with the same book interest would be amazing. Like bookish or like fanish too would be interesting. Yeah. Hinge pre-COVID was great. Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, it's just been so bleak. Oh, my cat is like trying to burrow into the covers next to me because I have like soft blankets on the couch for the cats. So cute. Yeah, so many people met their spouses on it. And like that was a long time ago. Most people who had success, including friends of mine, it was a long time ago. Things have just gotten really bad. So yeah, so we are rounding on 4 hours and I do have to get ready to go to a birthday party later and I should also eat dinner. So I do have to wrap this up. This was great. We maintained like between 30 and 50 people the whole time. I'm still curious what made 20 people flee all at once a couple hours ago. Yeah. So obviously like on the comments of this video or whatever, when it's up, you can like, let me know like what things we could talk about in future live chats. So I've got some like thematic ideas from this. Obviously I can just do like a writing AMA type one. We can talk about romance. I have topics I do want to talk about. I would love to talk about this. Like another like topic is like the mind fuck of aging in the era of plastic surgery and face tuning and all that kind of stuff, because I am here to be your auntie, mommy, whatever, not mommy. Like I love skincare, but I've done nothing to myself and I'm aging like a person who ages. And I'm here to advocate for that and just sanity check people. Cause I feel insane out there sometimes. Like you feel like you're the only person who like looks their age. Though I don't think I look 42, but that's part of the disease of living in California though. So, and genetics and sunscreen. I love sunscreen and water. Anyway, I am like I'm preoccupied with aging. I feel like it's a generational, we are all preoccupied with aging, but at the same time, I hate anti-aging stuff. So I think there's interesting topics there. And I'm just not a fan of, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Oh, my cat is now licking my forearm. She's so cute. Okay. I love you too. She wants me to pet her. So I feel like that is my cue to end because she really needs pets. And I'll do that on screen. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for everyone who was here the whole time. Good chat. Let's do this again. I don't know when. I'm going to figure it out. I will probably return to StreamYard so that I can do like screen sharing and stuff. But yeah, and I will make some real YouTube content. I just don't know when and I don't know what. I am returned to office now 4 days a week, which really cuts into my potential filming time. So go figure. Just in time to go back, go back to the office and then that happens. So cheers. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Saturday and holiday weekend if you are in the US and you have a 3-day weekend. I'm very much looking forward to it. So yay. And watch 911. Watch 911. That is what I will leave you with. I will do an entire 911 live stream where we will just talk full spoilers and we will buddy max the whole time. If you know, you know. If you don't know, watch it. If you want to ask questions in the comments, you can do that. I will talk about 911 forever. So, yay. Bye, everyone.